You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Andy podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 113. Today is April 28th, 2024, and today's guest is my TikTok friend, Maida.
Hello.
Like I said a long time ago, I ran out of friends, so I find them on TikTok, and there's one of them right here. Speaking of TikTok, Maida, what do you think about this whole ban?
I'm actually really nervous and sad if it does go through, because when I started TikTok, gosh, I want to say it's maybe 4 years now. I did it just to kind of pass time because it was when COVID happened. So, we were all stuck at home, and me and my daughter, we would just get on here, make our little videos. And at first, everything was just super private. We had my account private. I didn't want millions of people or whoever, to watch it. It was more for like my friends and family to see. And then one day, I decided, okay, you know what? I want people to see our little skits that we do. And we made my account public. And that's how I started having people, react and start following me and stuff, and my daughter. And, throughout all of that, I created a TikTok family and a great support system. Sometimes you can feel alone with your own friends that you have in real life, but then you have this virtual friendship, of people who just come in and support you, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you don't feel alone, So for me, if it is banned, I've made so many great, amazing friends on here, and some of them who I consider family, because they're constantly checking in on me. They know my kids' names, they know my partner's name, they know my day-to-day life and stuff. And so I hope it doesn't, because it'd be devastating for me.
Yeah, well, to add to that, the same thing. I've met friends on here. I'll only follow people on Facebook if they're going to be on the podcast, or I did you on Facebook a while back, but we'll get to that. Why it's taking you so long, and I have people's phone numbers. I found people that live in the East Coast that grew up in the same city I have. I have people that listen to the same morning show that I listen to here at home, that know who I was, but based on something that people on the radio have said. One lady's like, she's, I'm from Burbank. I'm down the street. Hey, do you listen to Valentine in the morning? And she's like, wait, are you Flat Tire Andy? She put my tag name compared, to me.
Yeah.
Are you the Flat Tire Andy? And so, and you've met me. I have people's phone numbers. We'll call on. I just wished one of them a happy birthday yesterday on text. I think a text is more personal than just a Facebook post.
Oh yeah.
It's more personal. So I sent her a happy birthday text. There's a couple people that check in. There's a guy that was on here a while back, and he still checks up on hey, he'll ask randomly, hey, how's your wife doing? Because my wife had cancer. Hey, how's your wife doing? And stuff like that. You meet people on TikTok that are not just, they're not weirdos, but they become close friends and
close friends.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I have you on here, because like I said a long time ago, I ran out of friends. So
yeah.
And there's people that you meet on here, and I only started the TikTok because I was like, wait, how can I find a way to promote my podcast? And I never thought that I would start asking people, hey, would you like to be a guest?
Yeah.
And if it happens, it happens. I heard that if it does get banned, just don't delete it from your phone, because
because who knows if it might come back or anything like that.
Now I do know. Remember that game Floppy Bird?
Yes.
Okay. So if you had Floppy Bird at one point in your download history, and you get a new phone, you can still install it into your new phone.
Yeah, because it was already in there.
So I feel that TikTok will be the same way.
I think so too.
You just probably.
I feel like the platform's just so huge that they wouldn't want to lose, all of that, the money that they could, that they are getting basically right now. And I'm pretty sure it's just kind of just this battle thing going on, but I'm not deleting it, if it does get banned, because I know something might happen.
Yeah. When they started talking about getting rid of the TikTok, I was like, well, how else am I going to promote my podcast? So I never created a second Instagram page, because I always thought that I was supposed to have different email addresses.
Yeah.
And my son's like, Dad, no, you can just create another page using the same email. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah,
So
it's like a business account.
yeah, so I started. So now I have like 4 of them. I'm like, Chingo.
Yeah.
My son's the one that showed me how to do it, and I was like, yeah, Dad, you just gotta do this and create an account, and they use the same email address. Oh shit, okay,
Yep.
cool. So worst case scenario, I have.
Yeah.
It is kind of working a little bit, so we'll go from there. But enough about TikTok. Let's get to know Maida. Maida, you are from Central California, if I'm correct,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And how is it? How is it living in that part of the world? I'm in South.
You know,
I'm in Southern California, like West Covina, 15 minutes away from downtown LA.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I grew up like, well, I didn't grow up in LA. I was born in LA, East LA,
oh
and
okay.
then I moved over here to, Central California. It's a very small town. I love it here. I don't think I'd probably ever move anywhere else just because we're like smack dab of everything. It's like, 2 hours from San Francisco, 4 hours from LA, and then we have like a lot of like fishing areas, and me and my fiance, we love fishing, we love outdoors, we love camping,
That it,
so it's just perfect.
that is something that caught my attention on your TikTok videos as well.
Yeah.
You love fishing.
Yes.
You
Yes.
love fishing, and it's like we always talk about the day that I made my wife fall in love with me, made her,
Yeah.
was because
Yeah.
I took my kids fishing,
Oh.
and she was just like, oh, I'll let them do their thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you'll grab them like nothing,
Yes.
and what
I have to, like, if I catch the fish, I have to pick them up, take a picture with them, do all that
you
good stuff. Like,
is that something from childhood that you just got into
no,
it? Just
no. Like, my dad was not a fisherman. He was a mariachi player, played violin, did not do anything outdoorsy. I'm kind of like the oddball in my family. There's a total of 6 of us, so I'm the baby,
okay.
and none of them are. We're not like if you were to see us, you'd be like, how are you related to them? Because I'm more of like the country girl, listen to, country music. I'm always outdoors. My other family, like, they're just more indoors, and my brother does like to fish. So we've done it here and there with him, but I would probably have to say it just like it kind of sprung up when COVID happened because there was
okay.
nothing else you could really do,
Yeah,
and I would just go out to the lakes and, I'd be by myself. And I started out with doing trout fishing, and I had always wanted to catch a bass fish because I heard that the fight with those are like crazy. And I had never been able to catch a bass fish until I actually got with my fiance, Andrew. And he's a bass fisherman. Like, that's all he fishes for. And we went, a couple times on our first couple dates, and he finally was able to get me to catch a fish, a bass fish. And it was just like, after that, I was hooked, with just like, I stopped doing trout fishing and it was all about going for bass.
Yeah.
So,
I've had the shittiest luck fishing. I've been doing this for, I mean, more than 10 years, but a lot of it's like off the pier. I've got, there's a lake down the street from here. Caught nothing.
Yeah.
I've deep sea fishing. Yeah, we've gone deep sea fishing. I have caught fish, deep sea fishing, but just out here off the pier. I did one night. My buddy and I, my compadre, we went to the pier in Ventura, and we caught a small shark. And
oh gosh,
we were so freaked out that somebody on the pier is like, "Hey, I'll take it off. Can I have it?" I'm like, "Dude, get it off the hook. Get it off the hook, and you can have it." And 10 minutes later, he was a homeless guy. So 10 minutes later, you can smell it. He was cooking that.
He was cooking it. Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I don't know what it is when it comes to fish. I enjoy fishing. I just when it comes to like, get it off.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
You on the other hand.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I will say this though, the only fish that I will not touch is the catfish. Their skin just creeps me out. That is one where I'm like, nope, like someone else has to take it out. There's just something weird about that type of fish that like just grosses me out so much. So hopefully I will never catch a catfish when I'm alone because I'll probably leave the hook in and just like, I'm sorry, like I can't touch it.
No, I think one time I went off the pier in Port Hueneme Pier. That was my pier. That's where I went to escape. You know how people go and either they'll drink, do drugs, and when they're depressed. No, that was my thing. It was the ocean, and just I would stand at the pier for hours, and then so one day I caught this little fish and I grabbed it like from the, what is it called? From my palm was on its, I'm gonna say his back, and I
Yeah.
gripped him, and he had like some kind of self defense thing that he,
Yep.
my
Like a
whole, the
sting.
next thing I felt was my whole body got the chills, and I
Yeah.
just released, and it left like little points on my palm. It stabbed me,
Yep.
little bastard.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, it's just more like get it off, get it
Yeah.
off, get it
Yeah.
off.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm good on
So
that.
I give you props for that.
Thank you.
Because damn, no, I wouldn't. But yeah, no, that's what caught my attention. I'm like, that's the cabrona. She likes to fish.
Mhm.
Good for her.
I do.
Yeah.
And it's all about catch and release for us. We
Yeah.
catch it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we release them.
Yes.
You know, we don't. I mean, the only time we would ever eat them is if like we know that like they either swallowed the hook and you're trying to take it out and they just start bleeding out. You know, and you know they're gonna die.
Right.
Then that's when we're kind of like, okay, we can't just leave it here, so
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
take it
yeah.
home. But for the most part, though, it's always catch and release. We enjoy it. It's therapeutic. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you said. For people who have like anxiety, depression, and stuff, like it's just such a great way to just be out there and kind of unwind. And then when you actually do catch something, it gives you this crazy adrenaline rush that you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, it's a natural like high that you get, and you want more, and so you just keep
Yeah.
on going.
So what got you? So what made you move from LA to? Because East LA is just like
East-
15 minutes
Yeah.
from here.
Oh gosh,
It's just like
okay.
15. I don't live that far. The
Yeah.
last time I went to East LA was I got off on Indiana. I went to go see El Pino from Blood and Blood Out.
Oh,
That was the last time. And then
Oh,
the George Lopez always talked about the King Taco sign.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we stopped at the King Taco. And
Oh, my
that was we've had meetings because I'm a salesman. We've had
Mhm.
meetings like in downtown LA. We've had meetings in like the Coliseum, and we drove by, and I
Yeah.
always see Indiana, and I was like, should I go see the El Pino? My wife's like, it's just a tree. I'm like, you don't understand. You don't understand.
You don't get it.
So yeah, I mean, what got you guys to move? Was childhood or?
It was childhood, yeah. My mom, she was like pretty much like a stay-at-home working mom when she was with my dad, and they wanted something better for their kids. It was 6 of us, like I said, and my dad was a mariachi player, so he would just go with groups and stuff, and we didn't necessarily have family here where we moved to in town, and we just my mom just knew she wanted us to get out of LA because
Right.
gangs, it wasn't where she wanted all of us to grow up. She wanted us to have a better future because of the area that we were at, and so she just picked us up. We moved, and we were all just raised here. And I mean, I think what they did was great because now it's like my oldest brother, he's a police officer. I have a sister who's a teacher. My other sister's a medical assistant. I'm a manager for a dental surgery. Like, we're just all, succeeding and excelling in our careers and stuff. And I know that our parents would be so proud to see, like, we made the right move on
Yeah.
getting them over here. We all have careers and doing everything, really well. And so it was just the best thing for us.
Yeah, that's what when I earned full custody of the boys. I mean, my kids, I always say the boys because my daughter doesn't live with us anymore. But
Yeah.
when I got full custody of all the kids, that's what the lawyer said. She's like, "There's too much trauma, bad memories. Get them out of. I will drop your bill to 0 if you get these
Yeah.
kids out of Oxnard." And we did. And then right now, my daughter went to go live back with her mom, but the boys. The oldest wants to be. He's thinking about being like a physical therapist for like children that
Oh,
are
that's
born
great.
with like maybe defects and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the little one is barely a freshman, but so he hasn't. He's still a kid. He hasn't decided what he wants.
Yeah.
Nicholas, the oldest one, actually, he also loves photography. So the last 2 weekends we started going to t-ball games. And taking pictures of kids and saying, "Hey, we offer our services." And I even printed out business cards. And
Business cards.
in fact, right now, talking
I
to
think
you,
that's great.
my phone just blinked, and there was somebody saying, "Yes, go ahead." They gave me
Sure.
permission to post a picture on the Instagram page.
Oh,
And
that's great.
so yeah, he's been doing it. Like I said last week, he loves taking photos. And I told him, well, let's go take some action shots. And what
Mhm.
best, but kids, little ones that nobody wants to get a picture of their kid through the
Yep.
fence, you know. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are the worst. When you get those, someone who wants to do that. I mean, I think that's a great
yeah.
way to start for your son.
So he loves it. He loves doing it. Not only did he enjoy it, he said he had fun, and so pretty much most of the profits are going into his college savings, so he can have something to go with it for college.
Yeah.
So yeah, started doing that, and yeah, no, he, like I said, over here we have 2 police officers in the family. We have doctors, we have teachers, we have people that work in the hospital. My wife also works for a physical therapist, so yeah, there's nothing but good role models over here for them. So in Oxnard, like it's Oxnard, you just have Oxnard is in between two military stations, and it's like, well, there's a lot of people that are in the military over there. So
oh yeah,
and also Oxnard was bad. Gangs. The last weekend we stayed over there was 4 murders in one week, one day.
God.
So it's like, yeah, no, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
and I mean,
I think that's a good choice.
Nowadays, not every city is safe. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we came to La Puente, and it's also not one of the safest cities. But what city nowadays is safe?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, even the city I'm in right now, I thought it was super safe because I was like, well, it's super, like, it's small. It's just. You don't really hear much going on, but my brother is a police officer for the town that I live in. And he's like, no, he's like, you'll actually be surprised. There's all this. And he starts telling me like stories. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, but it's like more so that our town that I live in, they don't really talk a lot about it because I guess they just don't want to bring more. So it's everywhere, no matter where you go. I mean, I guess it's just different levels of how bad.
I trip out on people that say, because I grew up in this place, this city called La Colonia in Oxnard, and it's kind of like a little mini East LA, I guess.
Yeah.
And I drive my boys to there one time, and they're like, "What the hell is this, Dad?" And people, and nowadays you hear them on Facebook saying, "Oh my God, when did the city get so bad?" And blah 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 blah. I'm like, no. I grew up in that city. It's always been bad. You just never had anyone on social media pointing it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that right there, what you just said is literally what it is, because back then there was things happening, but you didn't have someone, because and like my 2 towns that I live in or close to, there's like one person who's like a street news person, he does it on his Facebook, and then there's like one for this town, a street person too. So they're going and like recording all these things. They have like the little radios, the walkie-talkies or whatever, to hear everything that's happening. And then that's how all this, what you see. So it's like that's how all of this stuff is circulating around. So it was there. We just didn't have social media.
Yeah.
We didn't have, cameras at the ready all the time with your phone, so we were just blinded to it, really.
my brother came over one day to visit, and we were in the garage, and I turned on my little radio, and we were both right here in front of the radio listening to the Cheese Man shit.
You guys are posting, there's this over here, shots fired over
here. No, there's someone that runs an Instagram, our Facebook page for the city, and he does all that. He does all that. So
I don't need competition.
I just like hearing the Cheese Man. It's like, hey, what does that mean? I started learning codes and shit. I'm like, it was just a burglary, no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, they just broke into a car. That's no big deal.
That's it.
Yeah. So I mean, how was the childhood? I mean,
childhood growing up, I mean, it was a little rough. We, like I said, my dad was the only one who worked. My mom was stay at home. So it was a lot of hand-me-downs growing up. And, as my sisters got into, like high school, they started working to help, pay bills, things like that. But it's not that like we were crazy struggling to where, we didn't have a home.
You said you were the baby. So what's the age gap between you and the oldest?
Gosh, me and the oldest. So the oldest girl, it's a 10-year.
Okay.
Age gap. Right. Yeah. And then and then after that, we're all kind of like 2 to 3 years apart.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I have a brother that's 20 years younger than me.
So, oh my God.
Yeah, it's 20-year gap. So yeah, my mom had 12 of us. So.
Oh man, gosh! I thought 6 of us was crazy.
I envy you for being the baby, because as the oldest, we get the shitty end of the stick.
Oh, I know. I'm like my oldest sister, the one that's 10 years older than me. She, which is crazy because I'm closest to her. And she was like, always making sure that we were okay and everything. Actually, since my mom and my dad passed, she actually bought my wedding dress as a gift. She's like, I'm the oldest sister. This is my responsibility for you and stuff, which was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they all did their part as much as they could. Me, because I was a baby, like, I mean, I would say I had it a lot easier, because I didn't have all those responsibilities that, were given to my oldest,
To the oldest.
sibling. Yeah, and so my hats off to you guys for doing all that stuff, but, yeah, I mean, growing up, it wasn't that hard. I would probably say more so when I turned like 15 or so. That's when things started getting a little bit more difficult. Just because my mom she was going through a rough time, depression, all that stuff happened. She had actually, when her and my dad split, she met my stepdad at the time, and they got married. And then they were together for quite a while, and then they divorced. And my mom didn't take it very well, and which led her to go into drugs.
Oh, wow.
So that part is probably when it got the hardest for me, because I was the baby, so I was the last one in the house with her.
Right.
My brother was about to graduate high school, and then he was going to the Navy. So it like hurt me, because I was just like, man, like me and my brother too, we're like super close. And he was, being shipped off to Chicago for boot camp, and I was at home, and it was really hard to just try to see my mom you know, kind of go
Right.
downhill. I mean, she was such a responsible parent, at the time.
Well, when I
Um,
go go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, no, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so when I caught on to your TikToks and your videos,
Hmm.
um it was around the time I think your mom had just passed. And
Yeah,
and not to say that I only bring people on here because they're depressed. No.
yeah.
The reason I did ask you, I think it was like a year ago, or
Hmm.
a year. I mean, I don't know how long your mom has been gone for, but a year
It's
and a
been
half
two
ago,
years
2 years. Okay,
now. Hmm.
so I think yeah, it
Yeah.
was about 2 years ago, and you were posting kind of like inspirational videos on
Yeah.
losing a loved one, losing your mom.
Hmm.
And I found one of your videos, and it made me laugh. I was laughing so hard. It was your you because you had posted a video that said your mom was your biggest fan,
Yes.
and you doing something goofy. But this one caught my attention. Maida, I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched it 20 times in a row.
Oh my God.
It was the one where your daughter is patting you down, and you're like, your face says it all. She's patting you down, and you're like, "Hey, that's my wallet," or "Hey, that's my flash drive." Don't go through it unless you want to see big whoop.
That has changed.
That video, I was laughing so hard, Maida. And I believe I even commented on that video, and I said, I see why your mom was your biggest fan.
Yes.
Because
Hmm.
that video had me laughing so hard, and your daughter going along with it. Because
Oh,
I think you have two different versions of that video. One is just
yes.
you, and then there was one of you redid it with your daughter.
With yes. Uh-huh.
And I was laughing so hard, and like I said, that was around the time where you were kind of talking about, you were a little depressed, you were down,
Yeah.
you had just lost
Hmm.
your mom.
Hmm.
And so what made you, start making these videos, like you said, quote unquote, for your mom?
Because I made them because, you know, depression and anxiety, it runs high in my family, and my mom went through it. And I remember when I started making these videos, my mom, like, she was not tech savvy. So, getting on social medias and stuff, she'd be like, Maida, like, how do I, what do I do here? And what do I do there? And I'm just like, oh, mom, you shouldn't be on Instagram. You shouldn't be on Facebook or TikTok. You're too old for that. But she was like, no, I just like, because I would post my TikToks on my Facebook. And so she would see them there. And she's like, I want to see, the other videos you're posting. So I would post them on there. And, once my mom got better, she sobered up and everything like that, she would be at home by herself. So it was her and her dogs. That was like her life. She wouldn't go out or anything like that because she was so self-conscious of how she looked, because after the drug use and stuff, it did a number on her.
Right.
But so she didn't want to go out. So the only entertainment that she really had was her dogs and my videos. And so she would go on there and watch my videos, and she would tell me how happy they would make her, especially seeing her granddaughter, acting it out and being like on point with every like little, line and everything. And so it just gave me more of like a fire to make funny, content and just kind of get people out of that funk, because I know what it feels like to be there and feel like, what, this world is just so dark and evil. And just to see when I first got on TikTok, to see videos that made me happy and laugh, and I'm just like, you know what, like I want to bring that joy too. And knowing that I was able to do that for my mom, it kind of like got everything going,
Right.
and it helped my daughter too. She was just super excited, like, oh, I want to post this video for grandma, and we would just go from there. And so even when I would do my lives or anything like that on TikTok, my mom would join in, and
Right.
she'd be like, oh, that's my daughter, like she was so proud. um, and so for me, like if I could make someone happy for, the 10 seconds, 20 seconds of a video, and I see all the comments, I read them all, like it just warms my heart just to know that like you were probably having the worst day of your life and you came across my video and it changed it, or
That's
it
the
just,
purpose of this podcast.
yeah.
Same idea, because
Hmm.
we always say someone always has it worse than you do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're like I said, that video, I watched it so many times, and then I started going through some of your
Hmm.
videos, and then you posted some of your mom, and
Yeah.
collages that you put of your mom and stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, and that's when I invited you on the podcast, because you were kind of
Hmm.
kind of beating yourself up,
Yeah.
but yeah, but didn't get the time. Didn't
Yeah.
get, that's what, like I said,
Hmm.
I only have people on Facebook that I find on TikTok that I feel are
Yeah.
trustworthy. And
Hmm.
and I've seen your videos. I've seen your pretty much the last 2 years of your life going through
Yeah.
on your Facebook. And
Yeah.
like right now, my wife's like, who's gonna come on? First thing is, who's coming over, because your garage looks like shit.
Yeah.
And because right when I text you earlier, are you still on? I was actually doing yard work. So when
Oh.
you said yes for sure, I speeded up. I'm like, oh shit, let me go.
Yeah.
And and what do you call it? So like I said, I've seen your life for the last 2 years, and
Yeah.
you're like I said, yeah, your mom was the she was like, what's the word? Your rock? Is that
Yeah,
the
she
word?
was, oh my gosh, yeah, she was my rock. I mean, she showed me what it was like to be able to be independent, and not have to depend on anybody else. And it took a lot to her to, for her to get to the point where she kind of went downhill. I mean, she was a very responsible person, always paid her bills on time, did everything. She even volunteered for the sheriff's department. It's just amazing how much she did, because she didn't graduate junior high. She didn't graduate high school, had no, college education, nothing like that. And they took her in to be a volunteer at the sheriff's department. And, she was doing that for free. And they like, brought her in. I mean, she learned so much doing that. And then later on, once her and my stepdad, divorced, then she started working on her own. And it amazes me now, because I'm a mom. And I just remember the things that she would do for me when I was in high school and playing sports, like she wouldn't make a lot of money because she was a single income
Yeah.
mom, and she would be going, if I needed something for my sports that I was doing, like softball or tennis, and she didn't have the money because all that money for her check went to bills, she would go and start picking cans. And at the time I was so embarrassed. I was like, Mom, like this, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Now as an adult, I get it. I completely understand. I'm just like so thankful that she didn't think like, well, we don't have the money, I'm sorry, you can't do it. She always made it happen.
Right.
And like it just, to me, she was my everything. Like she was my rock. Like I was a mama's girl big time.
Right.
You
Right.
hear like, oh, daddy's girl. No, I was a mama's girl. Like she would call me all the time. um I mean, multiple times a day sometimes, and I'd be like, Mom, I'm still doing the same thing. She's like, I just want to know, like, if you did anything today, or like if I was sick,
Right.
let me make you some fideo, I'll bring it to you, whatever. Like it was just, she I think she realized that she missed out a good portion of like my high school year because of, the downfall that she went through, and she was trying to make up for it later on. Um, so that to me just is everything. And that's why I continued doing all this stuff for her.
So okay, so when I came across your page and came across whom you, Mayra, like you were going through depression. You were it hit bad. You can see it in your videos. You can see it in your voice. You can see it in your face. What were you going through? What was like? I get it. You had just lost your mom, but what was going through Mayra's like?
So for me, I had just actually before my mom had passed, like literally the month before my mom passed, I had been in a very toxic relationship for 3 years.
Aren't we always? Aren't we all?
Yes, yes. It was the worst narcissistic relationship that you could think of, you know. And the last conversation that I had with my mom before she passed, you know, I just told her everything that was going on because she had started seeing that my TikTok started getting kind of dark, not necessarily dark like in like, you know, I'm like doing bad things, but like just sad.
Yeah.
And you know, she asked me like, might I like just tell me? And so I told her, I was like, Mom, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, you know, for the longest time I put up this front that I was happy for the 3 years that I was with my ex. I was like, but I wasn't. I was like, I was so sad. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like a failure as a parent because, you know, my first relationship with my kids, you know, father, it didn't work out. And then I got into this relationship and it's not working out. And, you know, I'm just like, I don't want to be the person that like just keeps on introducing men to my kids, you know, like that wasn't me. And I just felt like I had to stay in that relationship longer because I was like, maybe it might work, but I knew it wasn't. And I knew my kids were seeing that I was not happy genuinely. And, you know, she just told me like, you know, my dad, like one day you are going to find the man who is going to treat you and your kids the way that you need to be treated. It's going to happen. Don't lose faith. And you're going to be taken care of, you know? And in my head, I'm like, yes, Mom. Okay. Yes. And I just couldn't believe it, you know, just because of everything that I had already been through. So it was going rough. And then the following month, that's when I lost my mom. So it was like, I had just dealt with the trauma of my ex relationship. And then now the huge trauma of losing my mom.
Right.
And all I was thinking was, you know, what am I doing? Like, how am I getting to the point where I'm having hit after hit after hit, you know? And at the time too, I was out of a job and it was COVID, you know, time too. So it was hard to find something. And I was just like, what am I doing here? You know? And I was having just these thoughts of maybe this world would be better without me here. My kids might be happier without me. Like, yes, everybody will be sad for a moment, but they're going to move on with their lives because I was hurting so bad.
And I mean, how old were your kids? Because I mean, they're
my kids at the time. Yeah, they were. I want to say my oldest daughter, she was probably like 7, and then my son was 5. Yeah,
babies.
So they were babies. Yes, yes. And I remember, you know, to this day, April, the middle of April was always a little sensitive for me because that's when during that time, I was thinking of, you know, ending it. And it was just like, I'm done. You know, I was mentally checked out, I was emotionally, physically, all that stuff. And I felt so alone. And this was 4 years ago. No, I'm sorry, 5 years ago when I felt that way.
Right.
Even before my mom had passed, I had already felt that way. Like I was just, you know, a letdown of myself. And, then something just clicked. I don't know what it was, but something just told me, you can't do this, Mayra. You can't leave your kids. How are they going to feel? How are they going to process this? Who's going to raise your daughter? Like, yes, I know they have, you know, their father, but my daughter needs her mom, you know, to raise her and show her how to become a woman. You know, my son needs his mom to show him how to treat a woman too, you know, because I had already been through so much that I wanted them to know how to treat people and not to be, you know, mean or anything like that. And after that, I made a promise that no matter how dark my feelings get, or no matter how low I feel, that I would never think of ending my life as a way out. Because now, you know, after everything, I understand what that causes on other people who are left here, you know? And so it was a very rough time during that time that you probably followed me.
I know exactly where you're coming from. I thought the same thing. I was like, you know what, it's gonna be a lot easier if I just jump in front of this train. There it comes, and you know, something tugged me back. I always say it over
Yeah.
and over again. Something tugged me back. I turned around and nothing was there. That's why I say something.
Yeah.
And I that day I found out that the mother of my kids was pregnant. So
Oh,
it was one of those. Everyone who tells me the same thing, everyone tells me the same thing, dude. That was your son telling you, "Hey, bro, I need you."
exactly.
Because
Oh,
I mean, I have them right here. They have full custody. So
yeah.
it was
Oh,
like his way of saying, "Hey, bro, I'm not born yet, dude. What are you doing? I
yeah.
kind of need
Yeah.
you." So yeah, no. I always say the same thing, and I'm sure you agree with me. Our kids saved our lives.
Oh, yeah. They've 100%. 100%. Because if I didn't have them,
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't be here today.
and
You
then
know?
it's a trip, and my kids know. I don't sugarcoat things. I did tell them.
Hmm.
They know, and now we make it. They make dark jokes, little fuckers, but
Yeah.
they make some dark jokes, but it's all good. What do you call it? But yeah, no, they saved my life, and then your kids saved yours, and
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely were going through some. I'm gonna say it. You were going through some shit, and you can
Yeah,
see it
I
in your
was.
videos, and that's
Hmm.
like I said, that's what caught my attention. I'm like, let me see. First I try to invite people on the podcast to see if maybe they go and listen. And
Yeah.
then they hear episode 6. It's like, oh shit, this guy wanted to kill himself. Okay, maybe I don't have it that
Yeah.
bad. That's the
Yeah.
that's the first intention. My intentions of introducing or of inviting people to the podcast, because maybe they'll go and listen and be like, oh shit, okay, all right, maybe I don't have it that bad. And then
Yeah.
obviously bring them on as a guest. So
Hmm.
you were going through some stuff, and then I stopped bugging you because I saw a video. Oh, I didn't really bug you. I just, didn't really ask you over and over again, because
Yeah.
when there's one video I saw, I think it said, who's going to love a single mother with 2 kids?
Yeah.
And then you found Andrew.
Andrew. Hmm.
And I was like, damn, this guy is on top of it. And how did you meet Andrew? I mean, how'd that go?
Um, just the way my mom had predicted it. Honestly, I feel like my mom had everything to do with it, even after her passing. Me and Andrew. So Andrew actually had found me on Facebook. We had mutual
Stalker.
friends. Yeah, I know, right? We had mutual friends on Facebook, and I didn't even realize, but we had went to the same high school together. He's a year older than me. We had went to the same high school together, but we had never seen each other, nothing like that. So when he saw a picture that I was tagged in with our mutual friends, he was just kind of like, "What? Like, who's this Mexican girl with all these white folks? Like this is weird." So he was like, "I'm gonna see who this is," and he found me, and then he found me on Instagram because my Instagram was at the time public, and so he was looking through the stuff, and of course, he was like, oh, she likes to fish, she likes camping, she likes all that stuff. He's like, let me follow her.
Plot
So
twist.
he did.
He doesn't like any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, and then when I saw his request come through, I was just kind of like, at the time he had like this profile picture where it was like a side profile, and he had sunglasses on, so I
Right.
couldn't see his face, and I'm like, who is this? He kind of looks familiar, but I'm not sure. So I start, me too, stalking, looking at his, pictures and stuff, and I'm like, who is this? And I could not figure out who I knew, how I knew him, or anything like that. But I saw we had a lot of mutual friends, so I was like, well, maybe he came to a barbecue. I just don't remember. Like, I have no idea. So I followed him back, but of course, he is the type of person that he's not going to be the first one to initiate anything. Like, he initiated the follow, but after that it went like silent. He didn't
Yeah.
like any of my photos, he didn't comment, he didn't message, nothing. So I was like, okay, like, this is strange, because normally guys, when they see that you're single, that type of thing, they start DMing you, or they
Yeah.
start liking, and he did nothing like that. So we just would see each other's stuff, but I never liked any of his stuff, because I'm like, I'm not going to be the first one to do that. Like, heck no. So me and my best friend actually were going to go skydiving, and we had drove up to Santa Cruz. That's where we were going to go do it. And we were super nervous, so we were drinking that night at the hotel. And she had asked me, she was like, well, it's been like 4 months now that you've been single. Is there anybody that you would want to like start talking to? And I was like, you know what, like, I don't think I'm for the dating life. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody really. I was like, I don't even want to get involved. Like, it's too much at this point. And she's like, come on, like, there has to be someone. And I'm just like, well, now that I'm thinking about it, like, there is this one person who started following me, a little bit ago, like 2 months ago. And, I think he's really handsome. I was like, and he, fishes. I was like, even if it wasn't like a romantic thing that happens or evolves, it would just be a fun friend, to have, like, go fishing with, that type of thing. And she was like, let me see him. So I gave her, my phone, and she scrolled all the way down to, like, I mean, to one of his beginning pictures. Okay. And she
2004 picture.
Yes. Yes. And she likes it. And as soon as I see that, I'm like, my heart sank. I wanted to just punch her because I was like, what are you doing? Because it's going to notify him. And if I unlike it, it's still going to notify him that the like went through. And then he's going to be like, oh, she's stalking my page and she accidentally liked my picture. So when he saw that, it just kind of did a ripple effect. And he was like, okay, she liked one of my pictures. Now I'm going to start liking her pictures. And that's how that kind of came about. And then finally, he had posted on his story one day of him eating pickles with soy sauce. I love pickles, but soy sauce, I was just kind of like, what in the world is that? So I had messaged him, like, does that really taste good? And he's like, yeah, you should try it, and that's kind of how our conversation came about. And I want to say the month before my mom had passed, we were just kind of messaging here and there, but then she passed and I went like MIA on my social medias. And when he found out that my mom passed, he was just kind of like, man, like, I'm probably never going to hear from her again. I'm never going to get to meet her, because we had planned to meet each other a couple times. And then this happened. And then I had got back on, Instagram and everything. And he reached out to me, checking in on me, seeing how I was doing.
Right.
And, I did the typical thing of, I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. It's rough. And he said he was really sorry for hearing what happened, left it at that. And then like a week later reached out again. And, he was like, I just wanted to see how you were doing. And I told him, I was honest with him that time. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to lie. Like, I am rough right now. Like, it's hard. And he just told me, he was like, you know what, Myra, like, something is just telling me that I need to just take you out. Like, let's go fishing. If you want, like, we can have dinner, like, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Okay, something was telling me just go. And I feel like that was my mom, saying like, Mija, like, go, this is the man, and I was flaky in the beginning. I was super nervous. I was just like, I would make plans with him and then I would cancel with him like 2 days before because I was so scared. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not in my right mind to go meet someone, like, I'm probably just being foolish right now because I was just mentally checked out, and then finally he was just kind of like, well, like, what if we just have dinner? And I'm like, okay. So he gave me options of, do you want to go out for dinner or do you want to have dinner here at my house? And I didn't want to go out in public because I was just like, I don't want to be anywhere where I might run into someone, like, I just wasn't ready for all that. So I said, oh, we can have dinner at your house. Keep in mind, I never met him before in person. I didn't really know him. So I'm going to this stranger's house. Like, and that's where I tell you, like, I feel like I was like, just not checked in, like, completely. Yeah. Because my right state of mind, like, I'd be like, heck no, I'm not going to some random person's house, that I've never met before. But I came and he made me burgers and we just talked about life and everything. And after that, like, we were just inseparable, and that's how we came about.
It's been very noticeable.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just leave her alone. Let her do her thing. I'm not going to bring up depressing stories. I don't want a reminder of depressing stories when she is having a wonderful time. And I see him interacting with your kids and he takes you on bike rides, and he stepped up as a father for your kids.
Yes.
To to something he had just said about who's going to love a single mother with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at one point I thought like that because I was single and I was raising my kids by myself. And then there comes my wife who she met at work as this freaking prick. But then she sees him interacting with his kids and is a completely different person. And that was it. And she's done such a wonderful job that my boys love her more than they love me, and they'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I really respect, even though I don't know him, I really respect Andrew a lot.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
for
he's
stepping up for, you know, to help raise some kids that
yeah,
aren't his.
aren't his. Hmm.
And he, based on your photos, he has done an amazing job. And
Oh my gosh, my kids absolutely love and adore him. I mean, even with my ex, not their dad, but the ex that I had before, you know, I was with him for 3 years. My daughter never said I love you to him, neither did my son. And with Andrew, like within a couple months, I love you, Andrew. Good night. You know, just they have this bond that I can't even like begin to describe, you know, like it was just something that I always prayed that they could have, you know, and um they have it. And like my son, just like he's super close with him. My daughter, when any like gossip from, you know, middle school, Andrew, guess what happened today, like, you know, and I'm just like, and he's all about it. He's like, what, like, you know, and he
yeah,
encourages her.
yeah,
He just
the boys go to my wife with the high school cheese man. I'm
yeah,
like, they're over here talking about it, and I'm out. What's going on? Wait, what?
yeah,
Who?
you're like,
Like,
huh?
and
Yeah,
like we'll go in, and I'll be like, because I'm, you know, we'll get into that in a minute, but
yeah,
we spend a lot of time at the school, and I'll start talking to anybody, anyone, right? And actually, one of the kids came up to me last Monday, and he was like, "I see you like my band father, or my band dad." I was like,
oh,
"Oh, what
oh,
do I say to that?" And
yeah.
so I come home, and it's like, "Wait, what happened? What did I do?" He said, "We don't talk to that person, Dad." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh
damn,
gosh.
my
Like, well,
bad."
I didn't know.
My bad. No one gave me the details.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, they do that, and I mean that's good. I mean it's good for kids to now to come to be able to talk to the parents and vent to the parents, and you know, because
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on through. No one knew what you were going through. You
Exactly.
know,
Oh
so
yeah, and especially coming from like the household that I grew up in, like the Mexican household, it was like you don't talk about these things. We were not an affectionate family. Like we would not hug each other. We would never
yeah,
say I
oh,
love you.
yeah.
Like it's like, wait, you're don't touch me. Like what's wrong with you, you know?
I'm still like
And
that. I'm still like that.
you know, we've changed now. I mean, our family, we're super affectionate. Like we say I love you to each other. You know, we hug, we cuddle, we do all that great stuff. And to me, it just amazes me how much, like you said, you know, Andrew stepped up because he has no kids.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he has no kids of his own. And he just came in like just this knight in shining armor who like was ready for anything. You know, he even told me, because I told him like I'm a package deal. You know, I'm not just me, Myra, by myself. Like I have my kids, they're my world. I'm not
Yeah,
going to put them on the back burner for a man. You know, if there's something going on and I have them, I'm sorry, they come first, you
yeah.
know? He's like, no, like, I understand that. He's like, you know what? And this always stays with me. He told me, I'm pretty sure that I'll surprise you on how well I'll be able to handle parenting. And he's just amazing. I mean,
I
he'll
see
go
it.
and take my son to go get his hair cut, you know, like, oh, I'm going to go take him, you know, get a haircut. I'm like, oh, let me give you the money. Nope, got it. Oh, he needs new shoes. Let me go get it for him, you know, or Aaron needs, you know, $20 for a band shirt, you know, for color guard. Oh, let's go to the ATM. I'm going to give it to you, you know, like he, I just cannot, I don't have enough words to express how happy and thankful I am, like, you know, that I took that leap of faith and I listened to the little voice, you know, that I say as my mom to go with him, you know,
Right.
and he's a blessing. I thank his mother for raising such an amazing man, because it just, you don't find that, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
this day and age anymore, really.
Nope.
Um, and I'm so happy because me and my kids, you know, we've been through a lot. We have been.
Yeah. No, I like I was who was Tom? Oh, so we had a wedding to go to on Friday, and this past Friday, and we were all dressed up, and my wife was all dolled up, and
Hmm.
somebody commented on my photos, and I mean, see if I can find the quick photo what they said of my wife.
Hmm.
Let me see real quick. I think it was one. Yeah, your wife's so pretty, and you are so lucky to find her. Oh, I think I was making this conversation with somebody, and they said women like her you don't find, and
Yeah.
it's just like the same thing you're saying about Andrew.
Hmm.
You don't find people like them nowadays,
No.
and you know, so it's congratulations. That's
Thank
all I
you.
can say. Like I said, like I said, I've seen your life for the last 2 years, and then was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna hit any past triggers, so I'm gonna leave her alone. And
Yeah.
your kids. So real quick, to switch topic.
Hmm.
Your kids. So you just used the word color guard.
Yes.
I just learned what color guard was back in October.
Oh God.
I never knew what band and marching band was, color guard, marching season,
Yep.
none of that. So I wanted my boys to be in sports. They had a different plan. It's not what dad says; it's what dad needs to watch or see.
Yep.
They chose to be in the band. My boy, the oldest, he is bass 5 drum, and the youngest one, he is in percussion. The vibraphone one, xylophone, some shit like that. Something what ends with phone. Yeah. And they have the other team, this color guard. I noticed that your daughter is in color guard.
Yes.
And again, I just learned what color guard was, and it's these. I mean, for those of you that don't know band, marching season, and any of that, it's a group of young individuals, and they're dancing along with the song, and they're jumping and throwing flags in the air, throwing fake rifles in the air, catching them. We went to their showcase on Monday, and the color guard did their performance because it was so indoor season is not with both. It's not band. Yeah, it's just color guard does their own thing. Color guard. You know, percussion does their own thing, and then you know, the other flutes and all that stuff, they all do their own thing. So we watched we watched the color guard's performance for the first time. And at one point you have two students back to back, like their backs are touching. Yeah. They throw their rifles in the air and they switch places and catch the rifles. My arms were in the air, Maida. I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Yeah. The moment they were done and I caught eyes with them, I was like, oh my God, that was fucking awesome. Yeah. You would have never seen that shit a year ago. I went, what the fuck is this?
Oh, no.
I have more respect for marching band, color guard, percussion, music in general. Like, my son, my wife played the flute. She still has her flute from high school. And she graduated in 2006, and her flute's in the closet. Yeah. She still has her piano at mom's house. So my suegra's house has the piano. And so we don't have, our house is not that big, and I refuse to put it in here because I don't want it getting dirty. Yeah. And so when we go over there, she'll get on the piano, she'll start playing it, old songs, and it's like I told my youngest, since he's in percussion, I'm like, dude, go play something on there. So he's always playing the beat to their song that they play, and I'm like, dude, try this, and I gave him the music notes to Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, and he started going like at first started struggling with it. And then he's like, okay. And then maybe I don't know, 5 minutes later, he's like playing the first few notes. And I was like, oh, damn, that's good. Oh, my God. On Monday, after they did their showcase and they were cleaning up, putting their uniforms away and stuff like that, I'm outside with the parents because I am now a band booster parent. Oh, yeah. And I now help the kids load their equipments on the truck, drive the truck to the next school, and unload the truck. That's why that kid said that I was like his band father. Oh,
yeah, well, that makes sense.
And and then that's when I'm talking to some of these kids, and what's up, dude? Oh, hey, dude, we're gonna watch WrestleMania 40. You want to come over? And I get the look from my son. Like, no, that's not the one. We don't talk to him. Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, you know what, dude? This kid's been helping me more than all these other kids, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like, we do talk to him.
You know what, dude? And so, yeah, no, I never drove a freaking 28-footer, never any of that. And and I always say, oh God. And my mother-in-law's like, she'll see me doing the band booster stuff, and she's like, iralo. Because my mother-in-law used to be like the president of the band boosters back in the day. There's equipment and trailers and everything still in the school that my mother-in-law helped get the students. Wow. They're still there. Like there's a nacho machine that they use for fundraisers. There's a churro machine back there. They have equipment and then so we went to the fundraiser back in, I think it was October, and my mother-in-law came to help, and then she was like, "Where are the cash registers? where's the churro machine? And then one of the parents, his name's George, he's been on the podcast. George is like, oh, we have the churro machine in the container. Well, how come you guys don't bring it out? Because they're like, we don't even know who knows how to make churros. And my wife's like, I do. And he's like, well, we know now. Now we know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that my mother-in-law helped get, and we're talking what? So my wife graduated in 2006, so we're talking back in 2002, 2003, 2004.
Oh gosh.
You know, because she had, I believe, my mother-in-law had 6 kids, and 4 of them were in band. Wow. And so now, like I said, I see my boys doing it, and it's like, wow. And like I said, to me it's like, oh god. My wife's like, don't act like you don't like it. You met 2 new friends. You now have 2 friends. You have a bunch of kids now, you know. Yeah. So don't no te hagas güey. And no te hagas güey. And no, like I said, watching those 2 students on Monday toss their rifle in the air, flip, and then catch them.
Yep.
My arms were like the Cowboys just won the goddamn Super
like
Bowl. Holy shit. Yeah. So I give them props. So I mean, I know my boys got into band because of my wife, because of my in-laws, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife, and then I think the other brother-in-law. They did band. What got your daughter what caught her attention to do color guard?
Oh my gosh. So it's crazy because I actually did color guard in middle school too.
Okay.
But back then when I did it, and I tell her, like, I'm just so amazed because it was just flags and letters that they had in our color guard group. And we only did one parade. That was it. It was just the Christmas parade. That was it. We didn't do any other thing like marching with the band, nothing like that. It was like, that was just the only thing we did. And I would tell her about it, you know, and I'm just like, well, what do you want to do, like, when you go to junior high and stuff? And she's like, well, maybe volleyball. And I'm really like, well, at the time she was like really stuck with volleyball. She wanted to do volleyball. That was it. And then her friend had told her, oh, hey, they had went to school. They're like, hey, we're going to go to tryouts for color guard. Do you want to come? And she was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it, because she likes dancing. So there's color guard and then there's winter guard. So when they're marching with the band, it turns into winter guard, which is like the dance.
What's going on right now? Yeah. Or it just ended for us.
It just ended. Yes. Yeah. So, you know, she went, and I mean, Erin loves to dance. Like, she, you know, is all about like just creating her own like little moves and everything. So she was all for it, and she went and she made the team. And I had asked her, you know, like, well, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a rifle, a letter, or, you know, a flag? And she was like, I want to do a rifle. And I'm like, oh, girl, are you sure? Because those things are heavy, and you have to flip them. And like, what if you hit your head? What if, like, I was so nervous, you know, being a mom, I was like terrified, like, you don't want to do a letter or like the flag maybe? And she was like, no, I'm going to do the rifle. She ended up being picked to be a rifle, and I was like, oh gosh, like, we're gonna have so many ER visits, you know, because she's my daughter, and I know how I was as a kid, and I was constantly like just hitting my head on stuff, you know, like it was just bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is gonna happen with her too. She like struggled in the beginning, like I want to say like the first like 3 weeks of trying to, you know, like spin the rifle with one hand and, you know, get it going. But now, oh my gosh, that girl, all of them actually on the team, they are just so amazing. You know, they're in sync now. They do these amazing, you know, just performances. And their last performance for Winter Guard, they actually won the championship.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
It was amazing, because if you see her first like videos that I started recording when it first started, because, you know, they have different rounds.
Yeah.
And different weekends that we had to go. I mean, my gosh, you're telling me about like having to do all these things. Like it was, and of course it was like every weekend that they were with me, we had to go get up at 5 a.m, do hair and makeup. I'd have to drive her to school and go over there.
My backyard, the grass is 5 feet tall, because every Saturday that's why today I was able to do, I was able to do something. And then when I'm over here taking my time, and I was like, oh wait, it's almost noon. Hey, Mata, you still want a podcast? Yeah. Oh, faster. So I didn't even touch the backyard. Yeah, because every Saturday either it rained or it rained and they had competition, or you know they went to prelims and it was in San Bernardino. It was pouring. These kids were soaked, and but they still performed. And I'm gonna I'm going to recommend. What grade is your daughter in?
She's in seventh.
Seventh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you still have 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yes.
I really recommend you get yourself a camera, a real camera.
Oh, yes, I have to.
Because
I remember you telling me, you commented, yes.
Yeah, because I not only am I the band booster, the driver, the loader, the unloader, I am the team's photographer. Oh. And these kids, I mean, they love it. And, you know, what better than to capture her moments with an actual beautiful shot of her.
Yes.
And because videos, how many people really go back and forth to watch videos? Come on.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You'll post it on TikTok and that's it.
Yep, and it's done.
So I really recommend, like, I have shots of some of these kids in color guard where the flag is in the air and it's like still and it's like paused, like if time just froze.
Yep.
And you know, that's what we like to take the action shots of the kids, where the ball is still flying in the air either right after they hit it or before they swing.
Yeah.
And trust me, you know, they'll love it. She'll love it. I mean, it's like, it's memories that, you know, I'm a big capturing the moment, big on photography, photos. I have like 3 external hard drives here of pictures from the moment the kids were born to now. And the kids already know the house catches on fire. We're going to go get your external hard drives. That's pretty much it.
That's it. Yeah.
And I really recommend you get a camera. I mean,
you know,
it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be nothing new. You go to a pawn shop and get like a Canon Rebel 3, offer up. I mean, just not something, you know, a beginner camera. Trust me, it's amazing. Like just some of these shots.
Oh, no. And I know it's worth it, too, you know, because, I mean, I have so many. I mean, I use my phone, you know, to take these pictures. And I know if I were to have, like, a professional camera, it would come out so much nicer and everything.
I don't know if you see on my Facebook. I don't know if you see on my Facebook some of the photos that I post. I mean, it's with the camera.
Yeah, they look great. Yeah. So it's just, and so I definitely need to do that because I'm just like, it's so beautiful. Like, whenever I see her performance stuff, like, even though I've watched her routine, I mean, I see it here at the house while she's practicing. I've seen it at her competitions. Every single time, like the knot just goes in my throat because the performance that they did this year was, which is crazy because of what we're talking about, depression and all that stuff. It's about, it was about one of the girls who has all of these emotions that she's just trying to silence.
Right.
And, you know, that's all the girls that are doing the routine. That's all of her emotions that she has. So she's trying to silence them. And you see them dancing. They all have different facial, you know, expressions like sad or angry.
Right.
And then once she silences them, they turn around with the flags and they're doing the flag work and they're all smiling because they're happy. You know, they were able to silence everything that was going on.
Was that what's that one movie with the emotions and stuff? They just made a part 2.
Oh, Inside Out.
Inside Out. There you go.
yes, that's exactly, yes. And like, I mean, when I watched her doing these performances, like, it just reminds me of how many emotions we all have, you know, you're just trying to silence them. And, you know, so I get super emotional watching it. And then just seeing, of course, my baby, you know, like perform and just like, she's killing it. She, you know, during all of her performances, never dropped her rifle or anything like that, or the flag. She learned how to use the flag too, because they have the flag feature. I'm so proud of her and everything that she's been doing. Straight A, honor roll.
I see that. Like, I see that.
Yeah, she's great.
Well, we know who the favorite is. No, I'm playing.
Well, you know, she's just, I don't know, like, she's something else. No. Like my son.
Yeah. How's your son?
Too. You know, my son, he's a little firecracker. He's my little Care Bear. He's one who, again, will go and see people's emotions and see how they are. He doesn't want people to be sad because him too, he struggles with wanting people to like him, wanting, to see other people happy. And even like when he would get bullied at school, he would be like, we're going to be friends, you know, because like, I just want us to be friends type of thing. And I'm like, you can't be friends with someone who's bullying you though, you know, like it won't work that way. And he always gives people chances, you know, and that's what I love about him is that he has such a big heart that even if you've wronged him several times, he still sees the little bit of good, whatever you have in you, and he holds on to that. That's like me, you know, people can be so awful to me, but I'll see the little bit of good and I'll hold on to that. You know, and he's just always like, Mommy, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? You want me to make you food? You know, like he is such a sweetheart. And people have asked me before, like, why don't you post more about your son? And I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, it's because he's told me himself, Mommy, I'm not ready to be TikTok famous yet. So once I'm ready, you could post more about me. So here and there, he's like, yeah, you could post this photo. You could, and I'm just like, okay, whenever you're ready, we'll make TikToks, things like that. And he's like, okay. He's like, but I'm just not ready to be TikTok famous.
That's funny. Yeah, my boys are. I don't use TikTok. I don't share them on TikTok. I don't share them on because it's mainly for the podcast page. The Instagram page for the podcast, I don't post them on there, and that's why I have like I said, if I feel that you don't seem like a weirdo or anything, that's when I add people from TikTok onto my Facebook page. But at the same time, like I said, it's because either they're going to be on the podcast or I mean they seem trustworthy people, and the same thing. Yeah, no, they when they're shy, they're embarrassed or whatever. I tell my wife, this is your fault. They're shy because I'm not shy, and I'm not antisocial. And these guys are like, Dad, come with me. I'm scared. I'm like, what are you scared of? Like yesterday, we were at one of the Color Guards birthday party, and what are you scared of? Go get your water, man. He's like, come with me. I'm scared. I'm like, what are you scared of? They're just fucking people. Yeah. So no, they're not anywhere. I mean, my youngest was all of a sudden he's like, since he's into wrestling, now he's like, Dad, can we do a podcast? Because I've asked him for a long time. Come on, let's do a podcast. They don't want to. Hey, come on, let's do a podcast. All of a sudden, my young one wants to do a podcast every time WWE has a pay-per-view, and he wants to recap the pay-per-view. Yeah. I was like, I mean, we can. Yeah, we can. So he's counting down. Hey, Dad, Backlash is next Saturday. Are we gonna podcast on Sunday? Yes, kid. We'll do the recap. We'll do the. So I'm getting him out of that bubble. So, yeah. But yeah, no, same thing. They're not. They don't like the attention. They don't. Yeah. They stay to themselves.
It's just, and that's okay too. It's just I know for Caden now, like it's weird because he has a very weird dynamic of like he doesn't want people to see him. Like he's like, I don't want all these people to see me that I can't see, but he can make friends with anybody, a wall, like he's just one of those people that like he goes wherever and you're his best friend, Right. He is okay with telling you like it is, that type of stuff. He's into soccer right now.
Okay.
So he's all about it. He just wants to like, improve and
another reason to have a camera.
Oh yes, I know. Yes, like I'm definitely gonna have to. I mean, right now we got the wedding stuff coming. I'm like, okay, once that's all done with, then I'm really gonna invest in a nice camera, because I want to be able to capture all those moments, of both my kids, and that way when they're older, they have all these, pictures and things that they can have and show their kids.
and my mom always lost stuff in storage. She always lost, she didn't pay for the storage, and there goes stuff.
Yeah.
I used to back when I was in the ninth grade, I used to draw a lot, and at one point, my wife always says it. She's my first true love. I drew Thalia to the T, to the T, hours and hours and hours, just pencil, hand free, free drawing, and the moment my mom lost that storage and everything went in storage, and I lost all that. I even went to the storage unit and hey man, come on, can you guys tell me who bought it? We can't do that. And there's just some drawings of my yearbook and stuff like that. So I'm very big on capturing and saving the pictures. Yeah. Like when my grandmother passed away, the first thing I asked everyone was, because she lived in Texas, we gotta grab all her pictures. That was the first order of business. In fact, there's a picture frame back here. I don't know if you can see if I move the camera. You see that? All those little black square? Okay, that's one picture frame, but 20 of them.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was the one thing that is out of everything. I'm like, I want that. And my brothers who live there were like, take it. And so now I'm using it for the same reasons. I'm telling you, my wife wants. If I'm gonna record in here, I better make it look like nice. So that was an empty wall. Then I got the Rock over here on this side. My son's not a big fan of the Rock. Where is he at?
Oh wow.
Where is he at? There he is. So
oh my gosh.
So the Rock's right there. I'm telling you.
Oh my god.
So no pictures. I mean, it's it's a big thing. I mean, for me, it's a big thing, especially because I lost all that. Like photos that I found of me as a little infant were because of what my grandma had, you know.
Yeah.
And I was okay, cool, and like the first thing I did was got a scanner and I started distributing the photos to. Okay, well, hey brother, these are yours. I'm gonna scan them first, and then I'm gonna send them your way. And my cousins, hey prima, here's your photos. I'm gonna send them your way. Here, boom. I sent a bunch of them to my mom, and I kept the digital copies because, like I said, if your house were to catch on fire, you can't grab every photo off the wall.
Yep.
So
Nope.
you grab the external hard drives and let's go. And I have 2 external hard drives with everything on there twice. So
Wow.
photos are. So
No, they're huge. Honestly, I mean, after having loss and stuff like that, photos are everything, because you forget about things and you're just like, oh my gosh, you find that picture. I completely forgot about that.
And not only that, but if you're taking pictures of your kid, of your of your daughter and your son, you might have a parent come up to you and say, hey, can you take a picture of my kid? And then, like I said, for band, color guard, they're all together. I took this last marching season. I took over 2,000 photos of everyone, everybody. Hey, how much do you want? Are my boys in the band? Is your child in the band in the same team with my boys? Oh yeah, she's over there, the flute. Oh, then no, don't worry about it. I'll put everything on Google Drive and you guys can download it. Yeah. When my sister-in-law was she was coaching the T-ball games for her daughters. Same thing for the parents. I bumped into one of the parents last weekend. And he's like, hey, I still have the pictures that you took of my kid last time when they were on so-and-so's team with your sister-in-law. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, my sister-in-law's not coaching anybody, so these aren't going to be free, bro.
Yeah.
So I just got his Zelle I just got his text message with the Zelle payment, so he gets his photo. You never know. You might pick up a little side hustle.
Yeah, probably. I think I'm definitely going to have to do something like that because even photography for me is like therapy. You know, I used to have a camera before, but I got rid of it like a long time ago. And it was always just fun, snapping photos and stuff. And just life happened and I just kind of like, left it. But now because my kids are older and because they're getting involved in sports and everything, I'm just like, I need to definitely invest in it again.
Yeah. It's a nice little... It's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
All right, Maida. Hope I don't make you cry in the next one.
All right, let's see.
So, the reason why I reached out again was because, again, life has hit you hard.
Yeah.
Guys, she's still engaged. Don't trip. She's still fully engaged. She's still going to get married. So, Andrew didn't take off with his bike.
No, he did not.
He's still there. Give him props. Anyways. You just recently lost a dear friend of yours.
Yes.
And it's, my intention was to get you on here to kind of share her life. She was your best friend. She helped you pick your wedding dress. Mm-hmm. Again, guys, I'm going based on this. I'm telling you, I see this woman's life on Facebook. So, this individual helped her pick her dress. She was, I believe, your best friend. Mm-hmm. And the point of this was of having you on was because when I was going through some dark times, nobody saw the signs. When you were going through some dark times, nobody saw the signs. I originally had you scheduled for last weekend, and I did post on my Instagram saying, I asked on Instagram, hey, if you can, I forget the question, but let me see. I'm right here. I gotten better now with my brother's like, you need to have somebody to Google stuff, man. I asked like, if you can see a sign, if there was a sign, what sign that you missed, that you can take back and look back at what, and change it in a way. And I did get a response that said, something about when you randomly get those phone calls and you don't answer. Or I heard on a podcast just the other day that the same thing, this guy got a phone call from someone that he hadn't received a phone call from in a while. And he was like, oh, I'll just call him back. And then he found out that the individual had passed away. Let's talk about your friend first, and then we'll get into the signs that you see now that you could probably educate someone else. So
Yeah.
I believe her name was Heather.
Yes, her name was Heather.
How'd you meet Heather?
So I actually met Heather through work. I started working at a surgery center that I'm still at right now. And I originally got there as an administrative assistant. And so I did like payroll, HR stuff, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And Heather was one of the floor nurses that would help recover, patients that were coming out of anesthesia. And it's crazy because we didn't have very much interaction in the beginning because she would work at our other location, which was in Stockton. And then my main like home base was in Atwater. And so I would go to Stockton here and there, so I would see her every once in a while. But the most interaction I would have with her was because of payroll.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a stipend that, the nurses would get if they were on the schedule to be like charge nurse. They would get more money that day because they were basically the ones that were handling everything that day. So she was charge nurse a lot of the times in our Atwater location. So for me, I'm like very by the book, like, hey, if you need to get these things, like I need you to fill out the paperwork so you can get paid. Heather was very much so just like
you know what? You're describing the same thing my wife does. So
yeah, it's just, she's just kind of like, oh, it's fine. We'll do it next pay period. And then that pay period would come like, oh, we'll just do it the next one. Like, I just don't want to fill out the forms. I'm like, Heather, this is your money. Like you have like $800 worth right now that you're just saying whatever to, like it would drive me insane. And then we were going through a transition of ownership. And during that time, my DON, which was the clinical director, she was going to be leaving. So we needed someone else to kind of step in. And Heather stepped up and was like, you know what, I'll try it. And in order to be in that position, you had to be a nurse.
Okay.
So when I found out that, she was going to be coming in, I was kind of like, really? Like, Heather? Like, I didn't know much of her at the time. Like I said, I just remember having to chase her down to have her fill out paperwork. Right. So I'm like, she's going to be the next, boss. And I'm just like, I don't know how that's going to go, but, we'll see. And then, of course, because whoever was the DON, like I'm basically the right-hand man, I help them with everything. And I'm like, I wonder how our personalities are going to fit with one another because we were very, very opposite.
Right.
So when she came in, she had never learned anything about this role. I had been in there already for 2 years. No, for a year and a half. And so I knew a lot of it. So I had to like help her, learn the ropes of everything. And we just clicked very, very fast. And Heather was the type of person that she was very much an open book. If you were to sit down with her, it would be like if you knew her your entire life, because she would ask you like, oh, how's your family? How's this? And then she would open up about her stuff. She was not like, I'm going to hide it and act like, I'm happy, whatever. No, she would tell you, my marriage is, a sham right now. Like I'm unhappy, or when she was happy, she would explain that too. So there was no trying to figure it out. She was pretty much just open about it.
Right.
And so when we were going through it, because we had both just got new roles, I had just been promoted to a manager title, and then she had just been promoted to the clinical director title. It was very hard for us to transition into it. So we supported one another. Like she was my rock, like at work, even after work, calling me and texting me, how are you doing? Today was a rough day. And I would do the same for her, and that's when we both kind of realized, like, you know what, we're very similar, even though we're very different,
Yeah.
And we finally just had a conversation of our mental health. Because I could tell, I think it's kind of one of those things, like if you go through it, you can kind of sense when someone else is going through those things too, and she just finally like just told me, even before I met her, about her past and how she had, suicidal thoughts. And her go-to all the time was to go to the Bay Bridge and just jump off there. That was always her go-to. And this was even...
There's a bridge when we're on the 210 freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And we're heading home. There's a bridge. I think once you get off you switch from the 134 to the 210 freeway. There's this bridge, and my wife says everyone call. I'm not from out here. I was never born. I wasn't born out here. I didn't know that. My wife always called it they always called it the suicide bridge,
Oh yeah.
And this last time that we drove by it, it was actually fenced off. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
what does that tell you? I mean,
Yeah, that people
yeah,
just
it's
yeah,
it's 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 it's
it's common.
yeah.
Yeah. So, she had told me about the bridge. And she already had her kids at the time. So it broke my heart because I remember being in that same mindset. I had my kids and I was just ready to be done with it too. And, I had told her, um, I'm glad you didn't do it. I'm glad you're not doing it because your kids need you. Everybody needs you. They're even though like your marriage isn't working out right now, your kids still need you.
Yeah.
Um, and so even when there was a couple times where she had called me like hysterically crying, just because her marriage was it was very unique. They lived with each other, and they were married, but they slept in separate rooms. She slept in the guest room. He slept in like their master bedroom. He was awful to her. I mean, he would even tell her, just go jump off the bridge like you planned it. So he was kind of
What the
instigating it.
fuck?
Yes, yes. And when she would tell me these things, I'm like, what, why? Like, I don't care how much you don't like someone. You never say that to someone, ever. And so for me, it was more so I needed to make sure that she knew you do matter. You are loved. You are such an important person like that. What he's saying is because he just is not happy in his own life, and don't listen to it. So I want to say this was last year, actually, probably in November or so. She had called me just hysterically crying because, she had went in her safe and she had seen that her wedding ring that her husband had given her, he was supposed to put like a diamond in there for her, and it was gone. It was missing. And
Oh
she was
shit.
like, I don't know where it's at. And I was just like, well, where do you think he did with it? Like maybe he was putting the stone on it. She's like, no, the stone came in like 2 years ago, and he said that he would give it to me when he felt like I deserved it.
Oh,
And she's like, I must have never deserved it because I have yet to get the ring back and it's gone now. So I'm just trying to think of an upside. I'm like, well, maybe he's planning on giving it to you. Maybe he has something planned and he has it with him. And she's like, nope. And I mean, she was crying. She's like, I just want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. And I stood on the phone with her for like an hour and a half telling her, Heather, you can't leave. I love you. I need you here. Like I can't do this life without you, like, and your kids, like they need you. Like she has 2 girls.
may I ask how old her kids are?
Yes, her 7 and 5.
Oh.
Yes. So I'm just trying to show her that like even though your husband might not be the support that you need, not be the right husband for you, you do have other people who do need you still, and I'm not even related to her, and I needed her so much.
Yeah.
Like she was like the sister that I never had. Like, I had sisters, but like I'm not super, super close except with my oldest one. But it's like someone that I see every day.
No,
like,
I mean, the definition, the statement when they say that family is not always blood,
blood.
it's true. I mean, I have a lot of,
It is.
I mean, my compadre, he's my brother. He's not like, he's my brother.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yes.
I met him in
Yes.
jail. I met him in
Oh.
jail. And he's,
Yeah,
he's my brother. He's got family coming over for Mother's Day weekend that from Mexico or something like that, and he's like, I really want you to come so that my family can be my compadre. Like he wants to show me off to his family.
So, yes. Yes.
So it's like,
and that's amazing.
I don't know if we can go, but
Yeah,
so.
you're just like, ugh. But I mean, that's like where I think the best relationships are formed, is when it's not family.
Yeah.
Because these are ones that you choose to like actually, make that bond with. And so I was able to bring her back from where she was feeling super low, and we had even told each other, me and her were the type of people that if any of our friends were to message us and we see that they're in distress, we would drop whatever it is that we're doing and we start texting them back, or we like, do you want to talk on the phone, type of thing. But we would never really get that in return from our friends. And we had talked about it, some of our closest friends that was just like, man, like I was really going through it last night. And I reached out to like my other best friend and like, it was like gaps, and I'm just like, I need you right now. But they were busy with their life, and I'm not saying that people need to just drop everything all the time for you, but when you're struggling, like just be there for that person. It's not that hard. And so for her and I, it was like, you know what, we're going to be that for each other. If you need me, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing to be there for you. And she was, and I was that for her too. She would call me at like 11 o'clock at night because her husband would be so mean to her. And she'd be like, Myra, texting me. And I'm like, I'd wake up. What's up? What do you need, Heather?
Yeah.
Do you need to talk or do you just want to text? She's like, I got to text because I don't want him hearing, and I'd be on the phone with her texting for a good hour until she felt okay. And then I would see her the next day at work,
You just made me feel like shit because my phone goes on mute at 7:30 p.m. That's it.
No, it's just, I think it kind of changes because now my phone, it's on mute. Because I don't have someone that necessarily needs me. Oh,
ouch. They say you can count your friends on your fingers.
Yeah. And so now my phone is on silent a lot of the time when I go to sleep. But we were just always there for one another. So I knew that she had suicidal thoughts. I knew that she was depressed, and so that's why like she would actually call me her mother a lot of the times because I would mother her a lot. I'd come in her office and like, okay, so tell me how was last night? What's going on?
Was she older than you or?
She was 1 year older than me.
Oh, okay. And she called you mom?
Yeah, she called me mom because when things started getting bad, she started taking a turn of just doing some crazy things the last couple months of her life. She got on Tinder, started meeting just bad people, which scared the crap out of me because I'm like, you're meeting these people and they could kill you, like you don't know really what's going on in this world. But at the end of the day, all she wanted was to feel loved and to feel wanted. And even though she felt loved and everything like that by me and her other close friends, but she wanted it from her husband or a man. She wanted to, I guess she saw my story because she would talk to me about it all the time. Like, I saw you struggling. I saw you in an awful relationship, and then you found Andrew, and now you're getting married. And, like, she was super excited. She's like, I hope that that's my end story. I hope that it's that, and I would tell her, Heather, it's like the difference here is that I didn't go looking for Andrew. I worked on myself when I got out of my relationship. I left that, worked on myself, and then it just happened. Like, and I think she just wanted it so bad that she didn't care how she went about it, and we had even talked about her getting a divorce with her husband and like moving out, starting her own life. And she was just too scared. She couldn't do it at the time. She's like, how am I going to do it by myself? I was like, Heather, you can though, like, and you're not doing it by yourself because you have me. Yeah. I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. I'm going to help you in any way that I can. And that's when she had met this guy on there who I feel like he pushed her more to the edge than what she was already at, because she was doing better. You could see it. Yes, she would come in and say how frustrating her night was with her husband and stuff, but she would be able to like just kind of unwind at work. And that's sad to say because, normally people want to hurry up and go home after work. You work your 10-hour shift, you want to go home. She would want to stay at work as long as she could because her home life was awful. It was, and so when she met this guy, he was keeping her occupied. She was 37, and she had just turned 37. He was 24 years old, unemployed. He was like in the foster system, so he had like his rent and stuff being paid for him until he turned 25. Yeah. So keep in mind, unemployed, having rent, all that stuff paid for him. He had enough money, from what she told me, he had enough money to get him by until May of this year. And then he wouldn't have any more money. So when he met her in January, things just got heated. It was like a love bombing, like, oh, you're beautiful. I love you. We're going to get married, this and that. You need to divorce your husband. So she rushed everything. She was like, okay, I'm ready to get a divorce. She went and filed the paperwork. And I'm like, wait, you're doing all of this so fast. Like, this is going to be a mental, like a huge thing for you. I already knew mentally she shouldn't have done it this way. It was not the right time, especially because I know of how bad her depression gets. She was on medication. She drank a lot. That was her coping mechanism, drinking. So I just knew it was just a combination of bad that was just going to happen, and with this guy, I already told her, I was like, he's a narcissist. I was like, and I'm telling you this because I know I've been through it. I was like, and I'm not going to leave your side, because when I was with my ex, who was a narcissist, I had some friends fall out of, my life because they couldn't see me going through this hurt. They would tell me, like, Myra, he's doing this, he's doing that. And like, I would see it, I would know, but I couldn't let it go yet, And I lost friends after that, and I felt so alone. And so I told her, I was like, I'm not going to leave you, because I know what it's like to have people telling me these things. It. She knew that it was bad, it was toxic, but she couldn't let go because of the little ounces of love that he was giving her. And it wasn't even love, it was lust,
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, I'm going to be here for you. I'm not going to leave your side, but I do not agree with this relationship. I don't agree with how quickly you're deciding to divorce, your husband now, even though we've talked about this for almost a year and you couldn't do it. And now you met this guy and a month later you're ready to divorce.
Yeah.
So, she did that. And then it was the push to find her own place, because he's going to need a place to live very soon. She found a place. She signed a lease in February. And was going to move in at the end of February. She signed the lease and was going to move in towards the end of March. And she was looking at, the rent. I mean, rent now is crazy high anywhere.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. And so she was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to afford this? She made pretty good money, especially if she wasn't constantly using her money to go be with the boyfriend and stay at hotels, because she couldn't stay with him because he was like in a halfway house or something like that. So she was constantly spending and spending and spending with him. And then, once March came and it started getting closer to her having to move out, she started panicking, because she was like, how am I going to pay for rent? How am I going to pay for, the kids' daycare and everything? And I told her, okay, well, you already signed the lease, so we're going to have to move forward with this. You gave the deposit. So I told her, look, when you split and you divorce, everything gets split up. If your husband's not going to sell the house, he's going to have to buy you out. Or if he's not going to buy you out, then guess what? He's going to have to pay more on other things.
Yeah.
So that way it kind of compensates what you're not getting in return. So I was like, childcare, he's probably going to have to pay more of the childcare now, because you're not getting nothing from the house. You're having to move, I was like, and the rent, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be able to afford it. Like, just, you need to stop going to paying all these things for your boyfriend. And you're going to be fine, And she was just freaking out. And then once she finally told her husband that she was filing for the divorce, he started kind of messing with her, and was like, starts crying and acting a certain type of way. And she was like, no, like, I've been crying for how many years in our marriage, and you never cared. You would tell me to go jump off the bridge, and, you didn't care. And now you know that I'm going to leave, and you want to start crying and acting some type of way. So the last week and a half before, she passed, I actually didn't get to see her because she was sick. So she was out for a week, sick. And during that time, we had been messaging, daily, and she was just telling me how stressed out she was. And I just kept on trying to reassure her, like, it's going to be okay. And I told her, I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, it's going to be hard in the beginning, because I went through it. It's going to be hard, but you are going to feel so much better once you have your own safe space. And I told her, but I'm going to be honest, Heather, you cannot bring this new guy into your new safe place, because he is not good. He's going to just burn everything that you are trying to build for you and your girls.
Yeah.
You can't have him go there. And she was just like, I know. And she would tell me, I know, Mom, I know. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you, like, I'm trying to be super blunt with you because you need that. Like, I feel like everybody else around you is just saying, like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fun. Like, no, it's gonna be hard because it is. But once you get past a certain hump, it's gonna be amazing for you. You're gonna start your new life. Your kids are gonna be happier. You're gonna be happier. But you have to take out the toxicity from your life. You can't bring that in with you to your new life. And so I think she started, feeling like, man, like you're being a little too real with me right now. You're just telling me all these things that I know it's true, but I don't want it to be true. And so she had told me that her and her boyfriend had broken up. And I was super ecstatic because I was like, this is great. You're next week, you're going to be getting your keys at the end of the week.
It's sad when you actually are happy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's true.
It is, yeah. And, when I told her, I was like, well, Heather, I was like, please block his number because I tell you right now, he's going to try reaching out to you within 2 days because that's how it works with them, with narcissists. They give you some time and then there comes a message of, I miss you, because they want to reel you back in. And she's like, no, he already blocked me, and I was like, he's not gonna keep you blocked.
Not that easy. Nope.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I was like, I tell you, he's not going to keep you blocked. Please block his number. She couldn't do it. So, of course, he messages her, and they start seeing each other again. And so I was getting frustrated with it, and I had a heart-to-heart with her, and I told her, I was like, Heather, I was like, I just feel like you rushed the divorce and rushed moving, trying to find a place too quickly because of him.
Yeah.
I feel like if you would have thought about it correctly, put some money to the side for your first deposit, in the first month's rent and furniture, it wouldn't feel so overwhelming. I was like, but now you're in it and you're having to go with it. And I was like, but it's okay because you have us to help you get where you need to be. And that week leading up to everything, I mean, she would come in and just angry. And I could tell, so I would go in her office and have our little one-on-ones, like, how's it going? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you stressing about right now? And I couldn't get her past where the light at the end of the tunnel is. For her, it was just dark. It was black. There was no light, not even an ounce of it. It was just black. And, finally that Thursday that everything happened, she came in, and my gosh, this like plays in my head daily, every day, because of all the what ifs that day. And she came in, and she was like an hour late because she was having a rough morning. And I had texted her and I asked her, like, are you okay? Are you coming in today? And her response was, yes, unfortunately, I'm okay. And yes, I'm coming in. And I was like, Heather.
That's a sign right there, unfortunately.
That's a sign right there. Yes. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, Heather, I was like, don't say that. I was like, it's not unfortunately. I was like, I will see you here and we'll talk. She comes in, and first thing out of her mouth was, I hate being a mom. And I knew right then and there, it was a bad day. It was a very bad day. And because she's never said anything like that. I've never heard her say anything.
No one says something like that.
Yeah. And I went in her office and I was like, what are you talking about? And she was just like, I had, a shit morning. Like, my daughter, which is her youngest, she's like, she still has a hard time, going to sleep without wetting the bed. So we put a diaper on her at night. She's like, and for some reason she wet the bed, or wet her diaper. And she woke up in the middle of the night and decided to start picking at the diaper. And she's like, and diapers have like that jelly, like squeeze, and they just expand. And so it was everywhere, all over her sheets, all over her face. So she's like, I don't know if she ate any of it. Like, she's like, and then I was trying to like wash it off of her. She's like, and it was just getting everywhere. And I could tell she was getting just super flustered and overwhelmed. And she's like, well, how do I even wash the sheets to get that stuff off? She's like, do I put it in the washer? And I was like, nope. I was like, don't put it in the washer because it's just going to expand. I was like, just have it hanging outside so it dries up, and then you can just, wipe it off, and then you can wash it. And she's like, I just can't believe this. Like, and my husband, like, he's just like being a jerk. Like, he wasn't helping me, this and that. And I was like, okay, Heather. I was like, well, it's a bad morning. I was like, you're going to look back at this and you're going to laugh at what happened. Like, she literally woke up in the middle of the night just picking at her stuff. I was like, my son, Caden, when he was a baby, he woke up one time in the middle of the night and he had, pooped his diaper, took his diaper off and it was everywhere.
It happens.
And at the moment, yes, it happens. At the moment, I'm like, what are you doing? You know, I was so like upset. But now when I look back at it, I laugh because I was like, yeah, this little boy, you know.
Hey, remember that one time when you took your diaper off and you had poop all over?
Yes. Yeah, you
back.
know, and I was just trying to tell her, like, you're going to look back and laugh at this. And she's like, nope, I'm not.
So she's just being 100% negative.
Yes, 100% negative that whole morning. And so I was like, okay, let me give her space right now. So she was working the floor, you know, and she would come in her office and she just like had this look on her face. And I'm just like, okay, let me go back in there. So I'd go in there and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm just freaking out. I'm freaking out, you know, because I have this I need to pay. I have this and that. I'm like, Heather, it's going to be okay. I was like, I know right now it seems like a lot in your bowl, but literally it's not. You're just because she was just so consumed in other people's feelings, her husband's feelings of they're going to get a divorce and that she's going to be moving out. And I'm like, you can't think about everybody else's feelings. You got to think about yours and what this is going to do for you and your kids moving forward. She just couldn't do it. And I get it. Like, I'm the same way too. Even when I'm trying to make a decision, I think about everybody else's feelings and how it's going to affect them. And if it's going to hurt them more, I won't do it, you know? And you can't have that mindset. I've come to realize, like, you can't do that. You have to do what's best for you and your kids, if you have any, at the end of the day, not what's good for everybody else. Because at the end of the day, it's you, you know, that you need to live for. So I was trying to distract her, and I had told her, like, hey, Heather, for my bridal shower, you know, that's coming up next month, which is this month, I was like, I need a picture of you because I'm doing like meet the maids. So I'm having all my bridesmaids and stuff, their pictures on the table. And normally she would be like, oh my gosh, like, you're so cheesy. You know, like, why do you need this picture? Like, well, which picture should I give you? You know, she just looked at me and she was like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? And she's just like, no, I'm not giving you a picture. And I was like, Heather, but I need one. Like, you're the only one I'm missing, you know, for my table. That right there is like another cue, number two, you know? And so I was just like, okay, maybe she's just really doesn't want to talk to me right now. Like, cause I was covering her a lot because I knew where her mind could go, you know, if she felt alone. So I'm like, all right. I was like, well, I'm going to go. I was like, I got some work that I need to do. I went into my office, and then she went back on the floor. We were done seeing patients, and, I remember her walking in and she looked at me and I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing. And she had a tablet and she put it on her face, covered it, and walked into her office and shut the door. Our offices are connected. So when she shut the door, she's done that a couple times. And normally for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to give her space for a little bit.
Right.
I'm going to let her cry it out, do what she needs to do. And then I'll go in and see how she was. But that day I felt like I had been hovering over her a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give her the remainder of the day to herself. So my other coworker had asked me, she was like, are you going to go in and check on her? And I was like, no, you know, I was like, I'm going to give her space right now. I was like, I think like I've done a little too much today. And I need to give her space. So after I'm done, you know, getting home and going to the gym, I'm going to message her and see how she is, check in with her like we normally would do. And, I left work. I did not say goodbye to her. I didn't check on her. It was just like it was supposed to be a normal day. And got home from the gym and messaged her at like 5:02. And normally she responded, like I said, she responds really quickly. There was no response back. So I figured she's not responding right now because maybe she felt awful of how she was with her daughter that morning, that she's trying to like reconnect with them, you know? So I was like, I'll give her some time. Then I get a phone call from another coworker from our Stockton location. And this was around 7. And she's telling me that she is worried about Heather. And I just thought she meant in general because we all knew how Heather was, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm worried about her too. And she was like, no, I'm like really, really worried about her right now because the Stockton Police Department is trying to find her. And I'm like, wait, what? Because she lived in Tracy.
Yeah.
So, and that's like maybe like an hour and a half away. And I was like, wait, what? Like, why are they trying to find her? And she's like, yeah, they called the call center from our work and they're trying to locate Heather. She's like, and then Heather had sent her other friend Carrie a text message saying, please let my husband know to pick up the girls because I am not going to be able to pick them up. And I love you. And Carrie didn't see that message very quickly because she was getting ready to go have dinner with some other coworkers. And when she saw it, she thought it was strange, like, why are you saying all of that and saying I love you at the end? Like, it's just like, I'm not going to hear from you again type of thing. And so when she tried calling her, there was no answering. There was no responding back to the messages at that point anymore. I want to say it was maybe like around 6 or so. So she also told me, the other coworker told me that the Tracy Police Department had even did a home check
wellness
for
check.
her.
Yeah, wellness
yes,
check.
Yes, a wellness check. Mm-hmm. And the husband was like, why is the police department here? He was asking her other friend Carrie, like, what's going on? Like, you texted me and said like that Heather wasn't going to come and get the girls, and like now the police department's here. Like, what's going on? She's like, I have no idea. And they all knew I was very close to her, so that's why they were reaching out to me to see, like, is she with you? Have you heard anything? And I just, like, my heart, when I heard all of that, sank because I know how she thought, and I knew that her boyfriend lived in Stockton. So I was like, oh my God, like, did he do something to her? Like maybe she was trying to call for help and the call dropped and they're trying to, check on her to make sure she's okay. So a long time ago, like back in January when she had met the boyfriend, she gave me his contact number. She sent it to me through a message. Just in case if anything were to ever happen to her, I would know what his name was, what his contact number, all that stuff. And I was like, I told her friend, I was like, I have his number. I'm going to go through all my messages and find that number, and I'm going to call him to find out what happened. So I got off the phone with her, and it took me about 30 minutes to find the message because, I mean, it was messaged so much,
Real quick trick now on our phones. If you actually start typing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have an iPhone. No. Yes. So I completely forgot.
I have an Android, so I mean, I can do that. I can type in.
Yes.
If let's say you send me a internet link or whatever, I can just hit like .com, and all the .coms I've ever texted.
Show up. Yes.
Okay.
But she had sent it to me in a picture.
Oh.
So a screenshot of
Gotcha.
So, and we've had pictures.
Hundreds and hundreds. Yeah.
Over the years. So I was like just going. And finally I found it. And when I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, please God, let him answer this phone call that I'm about to, do.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, he answered. And I had told him, because he knew who I was, because she talked to him about me, talked about my wedding, all of that stuff. And I told him, I'm Myra, like, I work with Heather, and I'm just super worried because we found out that the Stockton Police Department, is trying to get a hold of her. Like, do you know anything? And he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I was the one who called the police department. And I'm like, wait, what? What happened? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I called it because I'm super worried. Heather had called me, and Heather had took a picture of a gun on her driver's seat or passenger seat of her car, sent it to him, and he called her, and she was just like, I can't do this anymore. Can I go see you? And he just kept on telling her no. I'm like, I mean, he was just such a jerk. He even told her a couple times that she should just go kill herself.
Wait. I'm confused. The new boyfriend told her that?
Yes, the new boyfriend.
What a dick.
Yes. So he took the information that she had told him about her husband, about him saying you should go jump off the bridge, and he threw it back in her face. He repeated it her.
Yes. Wow, what a dick.
Yes. So when he was telling her all these things, she, I guess, like clocked the gun, where you could hear that she loaded it. And he said that when he heard that he didn't want to hear what was going to happen next, so he hung up on her.
So he fucking knew she was going to commit suicide.
Yes.
Fucking prick.
Yes.
Excuse my language.
And, oh, no, you're fine. Trust me, I have some very choice words for him, too. And when I heard that he said he hung up on her, I just, I lost it completely because I feel like someone who wants to do that, a lot of the times they won't call someone and tell them they're going to do it because they know they're going to do everything in their power to try to stop you.
At the end of the day, it's more of a what do you call it? Like a fuck, like a like a wellness check in a wellness check on your own, like kind of like like a test. Does this guy really love me right now? If he really loves me, he's gonna stop me from doing this, and kind of like I said, a whole tuck in the back, you know.
Yes, that was a cry for help.
Cry for help, and
yep, you know, and just like when she had called me saying that she was gonna do it, I stood on the phone with her. You know, I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm going to stay on the phone with you, even though I'm terrified of what could possibly happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know how important you are. I'm going to let you know you're not alone. I'm going to be here with you, you know? So he hung up on her because he said he was terrified of what was going to happen next. And that's when he called the cops.
Now you're terrified after you told her, go ahead and do it. Dick.
Mm-hmm. And so after he did that, he said that he tried calling her and texting her again and that he didn't hear anything from her. And he was like, it's very strange because she would always call me back or text me back. Like he's like, she always did that. I'm like, well, yes, because she was just so infatuated with you that she would have to like respond to him and on a timely manner, or else he would flip out if she wouldn't, you know? He had total control over her, which was so sad. And so I'm just looking at my messages of when I called, and I asked him, I was like, when did she call you? And he had told me it was around like 5 o'clock. So looking at my messages, I had texted her around 5:07 to see how she was doing. And I'm almost positive that it happened.
Gone. She was already gone.
And I had no idea at that point. And so I told him that I was going to go back to work because I was thinking, oh my God, like, what if she never left work? What if, you know, she did it over there? So I went over there, her car was gone. And the whole way up there, I was calling her, texting her, and just in case if she were to listen to my voicemails and telling her, like, you know, you're not alone. Like, please, Heather, like, don't do this. Like, just let me know where you're at and I'll drive to you. Like, it doesn't matter even if you're at the bay, like, I'll drive to you. And there was nothing. And she had deactivated
her location,
Instagram, and her Facebook, everything. And so I knew that this was like for reals this time. Like this wasn't I'm crying wolf, you know, type of thing. Like this is legit. And then we were on Facebook because everybody was freaking out, and it was one of those pages where, you know, someone listens to the radios and they hear the stuff and they're kind of giving the feed out as it's coming. And this guy had heard over the radio that there was a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Tracy by the cemetery. And the cemetery was literally right around the block from her house. And as soon as we heard that, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just knew it. Even though I didn't get the confirmation yet, I just knew that it was her. And so we started asking on the, you know, the feed, like, what color was the car? What color was the car? Nobody was answering. And then finally, one lady who lived across the street from the cemetery was like, you know, yeah, I saw everything. Like, you know, it's so sad. So I messaged her and I was like, I'm so sorry to, like, send you a message. I know you don't know me. I was like, but we're looking for my friend and I just need to know what color and make the car was. And she told me, you know, it was like a grayish blue Honda, like the newer versions. And when I heard that, my heart just completely sank into my stomach. And I just started crying like crazy. And I was just like, no, like, she couldn't have done this. Like, her life was literally going to start tomorrow, the next day, Friday. That's when she was going to get her keys to her new apartment. And, you know, I just, like, kept on calling her and texting her, like, please, Heather, like, please don't do whatever it is that you're going to do, like, and there was nothing. And so I went that night going to sleep knowing that it was probably her, but not confirmation.
You never thought about driving to the cemetery at the moment?
No, at the moment I couldn't because I was so emotionally, like, distraught. Like, I couldn't even bring myself to like go there because I was like, if I go, then it's going to mean it's real. If I
Yeah,
stay, it's still not real. You know, it's like maybe she's just going MIA right now, you know?
Yeah. I think I know that feeling, because when I got the phone call that my buddy had passed away back in I think it was 2019. He had passed away, and one of my buddies called me and said, "Hey, Scotty just passed away." And I'm like, "What? No." And I knew everybody. I know everybody in the parking lot heard me cry. And even though I just heard this news of, I called the phone. And I called the phone, and he was like, "Scotty's gonna answer right now." And so I get what you're saying about that. Yeah. If you don't see it, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Yeah,
exactly. If I didn't hear it, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Yes. And I remember that day, like, it's like a movie just playing in my head over and over and over again, and I remember just sitting on the couch, and Andrew was sitting there with me, and I just started screaming, crying. And she's like, "No," like, he just told me, like, "No," like, she didn't. I was like, "It's her. Like, I know it's her." And he's just like, "My God, like, I can't believe this." I was like, "I can't either. Like, I don't want to believe it." That night it was so hard for me to sleep. My eyes were so puffy. And I was like, I'm going to drive early in the morning to our work, because what if she left a note, or something in her office?
Yeah.
So I got there around 4:30 in the morning, and nobody was there. And I checked, and it's crazy because her office was cleaner than normal. She was one to have piles and piles of stuff everywhere. Like, her office was a chaotic mess that she like, she knew her structure, and it was cleaner, and everything was still there. All of her belongings were still there. And I looked around, and there was no letter, there was nothing. And so I was like, okay, it can't be right, there's just no way. So I remember she had sent me her husband's number a long time ago too. And I texted him at 5:00 in the morning, and I was like, I just gotta know. And I asked him, I told him, I was like, I'm Sean, like, I'm sorry, but my name's Myra. I work with Heather, like, I'm one of her good friends. And I just heard some news, and I hope and pray that it's not real. But can you just please confirm that she's okay? And an hour goes by, and he responds, and he says, "I'm so sorry, Myra, but, Heather took her life yesterday." And it was just like, everything went silent. I was looking at the message and just started screaming, but I couldn't hear myself screaming. It was just, I was numb. My kids were at school already, and I was just, I just was so in disbelief at that moment, because I didn't think that she could do something like that, and I was so angry with the boyfriend, knowing that he was the last person to talk to her, that he ultimately had. And I know, like, people have, like, whatever they're going to do, they're going to do it and stuff. But if he would have just stayed on the phone with her, I know, knowing how she was, she wouldn't have done it. Maybe we could have kept her alive a little bit longer, but it didn't have to happen this way. I was always terrified for her. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, the last couple months of her life, it was very exhausting being there, because you just never knew what you were going to get. But I was like, I'm not going to leave her side. I can't, I can't abandon her the way that she felt like everybody else abandoned her, plus I had, like, my wedding and everything going on, and planning and stuff. And it was just becoming so overwhelming. And I was just like, okay, I need to, like, learn how to balance it, myself. And then I started just, like, feeling somewhat depressed too, and I was just like, okay, I can't, like, be that way. So, for me, it was, this isn't real still. I still didn't want to believe it, even though I did get the confirmation from her husband. I kept on texting her, and nothing. She had deactivated everything, but she didn't deactivate her Facebook Messenger. So I would just message her on there, because I knew her husband had her phone now, and I was like, I don't want her phone blowing up, with all these text messages that I'm going to be sending her. But I could see her picture, on her Facebook Messenger, the little circle that's there.
Yeah, yeah.
I see it there, and I just send her messages daily, and I tell her I'm so sorry that like she didn't feel like she could have reached out to me that day or that evening. And I feel awful because I feel like maybe if I would have maybe walked into that office before I left the day, maybe I could have changed her mind. Or if I would have texted her an hour earlier, I could have heard her out. I could have told her to come over to my house, just something, but none of that happened. And at the same time, it's like I go through these emotions of feelings that I don't want to feel towards her because I love her with all my heart. She was my best friend, and you don't want to have anger towards them, but I do. I'm so angry that she chose this route and that she left us with all these questions, and it's like now throwing all of these emotions towards us, that are still here. And it's like I feel like suicide is like this huge like black blanket that will consume everybody around it. It'll take everybody because you're left with all these questions of like, why did this happen? Why didn't they just reach out to me? And I think that's the biggest thing is that people say like, well, why didn't they reach out to me? Sometimes they do reach out to you. And a lot of people just don't have time. They're just kind of like, I can't right now, I have this stuff going on. So then that's why people do the things they do. Other people that have these feelings, they don't talk about it and they just let it consume them. I mean, I posted a video the next day after Heather passed, just kind of reaching out to anybody, letting them know that, like if you're having these thoughts, like please like reach out to someone because someone does care for you, even though you think that they don't, they do. And the amount of people that commented on there saying that I don't have anybody, nobody cares, I have reached out to people, and it's just because they're reaching out to the wrong ones, and it just shows me like there's so many of us out there that battle with anxiety, depression, all of that stuff. And people for the longest time want to make it seem like it's your mind, like you can be happy, like just be happy. No, we can't, because we have all of these worries and fears and trying to people please, that we can't be happy genuinely. Like even to this day, I'm happy with the life that I have, but with Heather being gone and all that stuff, like I even told Andrew, like I feel like a big part of my happiness that I had is gone. And, like I'm not happy right now. And he was just like, wait, you're not happy like with us or here? I was like, no, I'm happy with you guys, but I feel like numb. I feel empty inside, because she was a big part of my life. And I'm never going to be able to replace her. I never would want to. And like you had said earlier, like she helped me pick my dress. She paid for my veil, and like going and picking that stuff up and just like seeing it. And I'm just like, she was supposed to put my veil on for my wedding and that's gone. Like all of our plans that we had, they're all gone.
I saw the list of what is the bachelorette party, the list that she was going to host or something. Yeah, I saw that list too.
Yes. And I actually just had my bridal shower yesterday, and she was helping me plan it, and she wasn't there. And it's just, there's so many things that I'm just like, I wish I could have done maybe more, even though everybody tells me like, Myra, you did everything that you possibly could to keep her here. And they've told me like, you probably kept her alive longer because she's already had these thoughts even before she met you, and it got worse. And then when she met me, like things started getting better because I would listen to her. I would be on the phone at midnight with her, and that gives me some type of peace of mind. But it's still like a part of me is like, I could have done more.
Yeah.
I could have walked in that office. I could have called her sooner instead of sending her a text, And then at the same time, I'm just like, it's such a, if you think about it, it's such a brave thing to kind of do, because once you do it, there's no coming back. You know, she knew at the end of the day that there's no turning around from it and being like, oh, you know what? Nope, I take it back. No, this is it. You know, I know now that she is at peace, but now we're left here with questions and hurt, and her daughters. My gosh, my heart breaks for them so much, because they're so young, they don't understand fully.
Yeah.
You know, and I just hope whoever like is going through this, that they know that like people do care, even though they don't show it. They might not have like the best ways of showing it, but they do, and they love you, and that they're gonna miss you if you're not here. And just, even if it's not family that you're reaching out to, like call like the suicide hotline, or call, you know, speak to a therapist, anybody, you know, because it's just a bad moment, not a bad life. You know, it's moments that are awful. Yes, I understand it, and I can genuinely say I understand it, because I was there. Yeah. I was on the floor crying, contemplating. Same I'm here. Done, you know. Yeah. So, because people tell me like, I understand, like I go through depressions, like, no, have you been on the floor? Have you thought about actually ending it? If you have never been there, then you don't fully understand it. You know a little bit of it, but not fully, because once you get to that point, that's all you can really think about, you know. And so
we were living in an apartment upstairs, and I would look down, and the apartment downstairs had like this fence of spikes pointing up. I always looked at them down there, and I would say, what would happen if I jump on those right now?
Yeah.
Multiple times. I had a buddy of mine, my compadre, the same one. He would drive. He lived in Westlake back then, and he would drive 30 minutes to Oxnard because he would hear my voice, just to have a beer, and then just come right back. Like to be that voice for me to hear him. And like my uncle told me, like the reason why I started the podcast was because he said 9 out of 10 people would have done it.
Yeah.
And you didn't. So you know, and it was mainly me, you know, sharing my story, but now it's like, you know, getting people like you to share your story, because it happens to more, you hear it more and more. Like now that I'm doing my podcast, I just came across three other podcasts that do the same thing, that they talk about stuff like this, and I always thought it was just me, you know, ranting and venting on the podcast, where this guy was talking about his he was about to kill himself, and he got this one video call from his niece, and he changed his mind. And you know, I, like I said, I got pulled back. You know, whatever you went through, and it's freaking thoughts that just keep coming in, and it's the first thing you say is like, well, what, you know, the world would be better without us.
Yeah.
And you know, now I look back and compared to what I was going through back then to now, my boys need me, my kids need me, you know, and it sucks. I mean, when I heard it, and it kind of made me mad, but at the same time it was kind of true, when Chester from Linkin Park killed himself.
Oh yeah.
People were commenting that he was a coward and he was selfish because he didn't think about his kids, he only thought about himself. You know, guess what? Like you said, maybe the person that made that comment about Chester doesn't know what Chester went through.
Yeah.
You know, so for him to make that comment, it kind of pissed me off. I don't even know Chester personally, but it pissed me off that he made that comment, because is that something he would have said about me?
Yeah.
You know? So people that say, oh, I know what it's like, I can truly tell you I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It truly sucks.
It does. And honestly, that comment of like, you know, they're a coward, whatever, for doing that stuff like that, those are people who don't really understand. And at the end of the day, you know, when we're going through that stuff, it's not that we're not thinking about everybody else. We are. And we're just like, well, we're this like little Debbie Downer over here, we're so depressed and whatever, everybody else is so happy and living on, with their lives, that it would just be better if I take myself out of the equation.
Yeah.
And so it's not a cowardly thing that we're thinking of. In my head, when I think of what Heather did, I don't think she was a coward. I just feel like she was exhausted. She felt like things were not going to get better. And she had no other way out. Even though she heard me telling her like, where it's going to be good, it's going to be okay, she couldn't believe it, and it doesn't help too when people who have anxiety or depression are with people who are toxic, because it makes it worse.
Yeah.
They focus on, all of your negative stuff, like, oh, you're lazy, you're this, you're that, but they don't realize you're lazy, you're whatever, all that stuff, because you are depressed. It's literally a mental thing, that it's an illness, and people don't think that, they just think like, no, you're just being lazy, whatever. No, you physically can't do anything.
Yeah.
You can't get up, you can't go shower, you can't go eat sometimes, you can't be social. And when you do, it's just like, oh my God, I did an accomplishment today. I got up, I did some dishes, I did whatever, and you need to be so proud of those days that you get up and you go brush your hair, that you get up and you go do some of the dishes, or go do some of the laundry, or even go outside. Like, to me, I am so proud of each and every one of anybody who's going through these things and just gets up and does one thing. Do one thing for yourself,
Yeah.
And you're just one step closer to getting better, to healing, and I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, because it's not. I mean, I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah.
But I found healthier ways to deal with it. I used to drink heavily when my mom passed away, and that's where like I took like a very bad turning point, because I was drinking a lot. And I went back to work really quickly after my mom passed away, because I was like, I can't do this. I need to be here for my kids. This time it's harder because my work, Heather worked there with me. So I went back to work, and I'm just like expecting her to come back, So it's for me, I'm trying to figure out good habits of like, okay, how can I continue going to work, being productive, doing the things that I need to do without letting this depression and anxiety attack me and get to me. So one of my outlets is making my videos of how I'm feeling, because someone else might be going through the same thing, lost someone that they worked with, and they have to deal with it every day.
There's different ways of coping. Yours is making videos. Mine was going to the pier and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone copes differently. I know some people get criticized on TikTok, or why are you on here? I've a young lady that's going to come on the podcast also. I see somebody commented on her live, why are you on here crying? Like, fool, that's how she's coping, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's exactly.
People,
and it's almost like
differently.
It's like a live diary, that we have for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we might, record ourselves crying or whatever. It's because we want to remember how we're feeling in that moment and how we can get better. That's at least for me.
Yeah.
I want to see like, okay, how was I feeling that day, and how do I not want to feel again? So let me move forward from it, and even like the little, the sounds that you put behind the videos, like if you listen to it, it's just like what I'm feeling in that moment, and it's just, I just can't stress it enough, like even when I actually opened up to my family about when I almost wanted to take my life, they were all shocked. They were like, Myra, what? That breaks my heart to even think that you would go through something like that. Well, I tell them that just goes to show that someone who's giggly and happy and has this bright smile can be hiding so much. And that's why for me, when I look at someone, when I find people's videos and stuff and I see that they're like overly like just, I'm like, they're going through something, and I could tell, like it's just something we can feel off of one another.
My brother started, we didn't talk for a long time, and he started coming, or we started talking again, and he told me that because I've always seen it. I mean, I've always done it. That's what he told me. He's like, you talking is your strength. I never saw that as a strength. I always saw that as you being a chismoso.
Yeah.
And he told me recently that he'll ask people, hey, how's your day? And they'll start venting. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why? Because they can feel that you've been through something similar.
Yep.
Me, it's funny. I shared the story already, but we were at the grocery store down the street from here, and some lady, hey Andres, and she said hi because I used to be that store's vendor,
Yeah.
and as we were, oh, ¿cómo estás? Oh, bien, and she drove off, and then I said, oh, this lady was a bitch, and my wife was like, you talked to her like nothing. Key word I said was. One day she was in the back room, and she was a pain in the ass. She really was. And one day she was in the back room, and then I was, taking care of some what we call breakage, repacking some stuff that was damaged, and then I said, hey, ¿cómo estás? How you doing? She broke down saying I have cancer.
Oh
So it's like,
gosh.
she had no one to vent to
Yep.
except to the one person that she was a dick to for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, and like my wife asked me, what do you do in that situation? I I I don't know. I gave her a hug and I felt bad, and
Yeah.
ever since then it was, how you doing? How you doing? And she would keep me up to date on her treatment and whatever. And
Mhm.
last time I checked, she was good to go. But that's what I tell my brothers, like, because people feel comfortable because they sense that you've been through something
Yeah.
similar.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
he's, like I said, he sees it now. He's okay. I
Mhm.
always hated you because you would just tell people everything, and then when I heard you had a podcast, I was like, oh God, this guy's got a podcast.
Here we
and
go.
and then he heard. It took him, almost 3 years to start listening to it, and he realized, oh
Yeah.
shit, he's helping people. That's
Yeah.
good,
Mhm.
But this is my way. Like my wife said that when I started my podcast, she's seen a lot of like my attitude has changed.
Yeah.
I've mellowed out, and
Uh-huh.
and then I get into people, like you, and share your guys' stories and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like you said, we weren't taught to share our feelings, our emotions.
Yep.
You hold them in, you suck them up, you suck it in,
Yep.
and you keep moving. You
Yeah.
know, that's why that quote from Rocky is the six, when he's telling his son, is like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, okay, so you know which one it is.
Yep.
That one's
Yep.
perfect. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Life beats you down, but you get up and you
You
keep
get
moving
up. Yep.
forward. And that's the
Mhm.
greatest quote of all time.
Oh yeah, I love that. I listen to that a lot whenever I feel like down. I'm
Yeah.
just like listening
Yeah.
to it.
So, I mean, it sucks that this happened to your friend.
Yeah.
It's not something you can undo, and Myra, you can only beat yourself so much.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can change to bring your friend back.
Yeah.
So stop beating yourself up.
Yeah.
Because now you're gonna, your kids are gonna see this, and they're gonna be like,
Mhm.
your mom's being a Debbie Downer, and
Yeah. Mhm.
there's nothing you can do to change that.
Yeah.
That's why I did ask on the, like I said in the beginning, I asked on the Instagram page if you saw a sign or what can you do. Um, you know, I was asked, my the boys, we were having dinner, and they always make a joke. They always play a game. Okay, if you can go back in time, always there's always there's always that game. If you can go back in time. So they asked
Mhm.
me, Dad, because my daughter moved out and she went to go live with her mom. Her attitude was a pain. She was a pain in the butt, and she recently started coming back around. And I talked to my daughter again, and the boys asked, Dad, well, if you can go back in time, what can you change? And I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. And instead of saying something fun or something, I went with the day that Layla broke.
Mhm.
Meaning the day that she decided this is the person I'm going to be. The
Yeah.
day that Layla broke. And I'm blasting out her name. Sorry, Mija. And
Uh-huh.
then the boys were like, "Damn, Dad, it's not that deep. It's not that deep." So I'm gonna take that game that my boys play, and I'm gonna ask you the same question. If you can go back to when Heather was like maybe 20 years old,
Mhm.
what would you tell her based on what you know now?
I think I would go back and tell her how an amazing person she is, how she's impacted so many people that were strangers to her, and they felt like they lost a big part of them, when she left, that she is such a strong woman, that she could do everything on her own and didn't need anybody else. And just tell her, that it's going to be okay. It's going to get rocky, but it's going to be okay. I just wish that she would have known how important she was to people, because even at her celebration of life, like listening to the stories of everybody that came in contact with her, they were all the same, literally the same, how kind, generous, and heartfelt and caring and, thoughtful Heather was. Actually, the lady who lived across the street from the cemetery, had told me, she was like, I went on your page, your Facebook page, and I saw that you had posted a picture of your friend. She's like, and this is so crazy because I had seen your friend that same week at Safe Mart and, the grocery store. She's like, and I was buying groceries and your friend was behind me and her card, I guess, kept on getting declined. And Heather, and this is always Heather, I'll pay for your stuff. I'll get it. Here. She just wanted to give.
Okay.
And so she saw that her card was getting declined and she offered to pay for the lady's groceries. And the lady felt embarrassed and she was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. She's like, no, like I'll pay for them for you. It's okay. You don't have to worry about paying me back, nothing. The lady couldn't do it. She just felt super, embarrassed. So she left and then she showed her son. She was like, is this the lady, that helped us? And he was like, yeah, that's her. And Heather had this very distinct, huge tattoo on her like arm right here.
Mm-hmm.
It was like of a moth, but it was like this, it was like a little dark moth. I'm not even sure how to describe it, but you could not miss it, and she was like, we saw that tattoo and it's like, yes, that was her, it's like, she's like, I didn't even know her personally, but she touched my life that day, knowing that are people out there that can help strangers, So that just to me just shows that how touching and caring she was. And I wish that she would know that, moving forward. I wish that she would just know that you don't need a man, or even if this goes out to like a man out there, you don't need a woman, to succeed in life. Like you can succeed on your own and and people could see it, and if you have kids, like just live for them and be present, make the memories, do whatever you can with them, because they grow up so fast. And even my daughter told me, she came with me to the services and she was like, Mom, like I didn't think that I was going to cry. And she cried there. She's like, I didn't think I was going to cry because like she was close to Heather, but it was just kind of like not that close, to where she would have emotion like that towards it. And she's like, but the moment her daughters went up and started talking about their mom and missing their mom and all these things, she was like, it just got me thinking about if I were to ever lose you and if you weren't here, if you died. And that brought me back to 4 years ago.
There you go.
Where I almost made the decision, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I almost did this to my baby girl, to my son, like, and that was kind of like a defining moment of like, I'm so glad I didn't do what I did, because like she was on my shoulder, like holding on to me. And even after Heather passed, like she's been even more affectionate towards me, because I tell her about how Heather's daughters are doing, how much they miss their mom and everything. And, I know that she would miss me like crazy. And those little thoughts that I had, like, no, they're not going to miss me. They might cry for a little bit, but they'll move out. No, it's going to affect them for the rest of their lives,
I mean, and they're little. They're little. I mean, they're gonna. I mean, sadly to say it, but someday they're gonna need therapy.
Yes.
If not now, but they will need therapy.
They will. Yes. No, they will. And especially just knowing how negative their dad was to their mom, I mean, he would say these things in front of them. So that's why I just get worried for them.
And they're gonna grow up thinking that's normal.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's not.
And then, and then they're going to find that in a man, if they have a relationship or anything like that. And then it's just like, you don't break the cycle. And that's one thing I did tell Heather before she passed, like, you need to break the cycle, because she had that growing up with her mom and dad. It's like you got to break the cycle of this toxicity. You got to like let your kids know, your daughters know they are good on their own. Empower them, do whatever you need to do, like, but break that cycle. And now, because of what happened, I feel like that cycle is not going to be broken, and it's just going to trickle onto them, and it breaks my heart so much for them.
No, yeah. That's the one thing that my boy, I taught to him a lot, the older one, because I did have I said it before, but I had a conversation with him one day telling him, a girl will break your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Mandatory. That's gonna happen. That's
Yep.
You women.
Yeah.
A girl will break your heart, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather you come to me and talk to me about it
Mm-hmm.
than I hear it on the news.
Yep.
And no, we make it crystal clear. The boys always have us to talk to.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law, who is his Nina, she's LAPD.
Mm-hmm.
She's there to listen to him. He can text anyone in the family, and
Yeah.
they love him. They'll be there to talk to them. Even like I said, these people, my in-laws aren't even blood. And my kids get along more with this family than they do
Yeah.
biological family.
You're,
And
yep.
I said it a long time ago. Calling cutting negativity out of my life,
Yeah.
and like breaking that circle,
Yep.
and I think that my wife has helped me mold me into the person that the father and husband that I need to
Yep.
be, compared to what I grew up learning,
Mm-hmm.
witnessing. And
Yeah.
so I'm not the most affectionate person, but because of how I grew up, but I
Yep.
will try my best to. My wife knows that I do love her. The boys know that I do love them, and even my son, who's 15 years old, will try to hold my hand in public. And
Oh.
and even though my wife says it, you secretly like it,
Yeah.
but whose hand would they be holding if I
Yeah.
would have jumped in front of that train?
Exactly. Exactly. It's so
So
crazy when you think of all these things, like,
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah.
But
I
you just
mean,
have to keep on holding on. And I know it's hard. I mean, both of us know how hard it
yeah,
is to keep on moving forward and stuff, because you do feel like the negative outweighs any good that you have.
yeah,
But honestly, that's the illness that we have in our brains, that's battling with us. And you have to know that it's this world is better with you in it, and your kids need you. I mean, gosh, if you only have dogs or pets, whatever, like they need you. Like, it's just, I mean, it affects everybody in different ways and stuff. And if we weren't meant to live this type of life, we wouldn't be here. So I truly feel like we're not given more than what we can handle. And I know a lot of the times it feels like, no, this is more than what I can handle. But my gosh, like, I've been through so much.
You know how many times I cried on the kitchen table back in the days because I couldn't afford the bills because the payments,
Yeah.
my paycheck was
Yeah.
smaller than the bills, and I would sit in the
Yes.
corner table and I would cry and I would
Yeah.
cry, and my wife
Yeah.
would always tell me, "We'll figure it out." No, you
Yes.
don't understand. We'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. She always said those words, "We'll figure it out."
Yep.
This was maybe, we're talking 6-7 years ago, when she would say,
Yep.
"We'll figure it out." Just a few months ago, again, it happened again, because some of our paycheck
Yep.
is based on commission. And
Yeah.
my paycheck came across, and I was like, hey, fuck, it's not enough to pay the bills. But we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yep.
Figured it out.
That's it.
And, didn't stress, didn't
Mm-hmm.
sit on the kitchen table and cried, because we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're going through it, trust me, you will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Life has a way. You'll figure it out.
Yes. Always. Always. And I know it's hard to believe that that's true. It's like, nope, nope, nope. And it's just because you can only see the negativity in it. But honestly, I mean, we're both here living proof that, you will figure it out.
Yeah.
It will get better. And yes, sometimes you might bounce back and go back down, that dark path or whatever, but you just have to keep on moving forward, and looking at my life now, like, I'm not going to sit here and say everything's picture perfect, but the things that I wanted most out of life was true happiness with the person I'm with, which I genuinely have that. Like, I never thought in a million years I would ever have anything like that. My kids are healthy.
Hats off to Andrew.
Yes, Andrew is, gosh, I can't say it enough. He's amazing, you know. And I would do everything again, everything that I went through, just to be where I'm at right now, because I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. I know that this is where me and my kids were destined to be, you know. And I would do it all over again to be here right now, you know. Would I want some things to change? Obviously, with my friend, yes. I wish I could have done anything.
I'm gonna start wrapping it up here. It's been obviously it's been a couple years in the making of having you on here, so we pulled it off as much as possible. I've been listening to podcasts lately. I've been listening to other people, you know, talk their stories and stuff, and I'm kind of getting an idea of how to say something or, you know, ask questions or whatever. This is the first time you being on here was the first time that I actually had a game plan together, and I actually told you this is everything we're going to talk about.
Yep.
I don't encourage kids to listen to podcasts, my podcast, because there's swearing and stuff like that.
Yeah. But
in 15 years from now, your kids will listen to this.
Yeah.
Time capsule. I'm trying to learn from other podcasts and get my own twist on it. What can you tell your kids 15 years from now?
I tell them that to keep on pushing, that some days are going to be hard, but the next day is going to be a better day. It's moments. It's not a bad life. Again, I will always say that it is not a bad life. It is just bad moments. And just know that you being here is so much more important than you not being here. You just smile at whoever you can, because you never know how your smile or you saying hello to a stranger could actually turn them around. You could have saved a life today, you know? So just knowing that your voice matters and you being here alive, present, matters, and to never give up. And just to love with a huge heart. That's all I could tell them.
Beautiful. Mayra, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Like I said, I stopped bothering you because you are... Now, this girl's on high. She's in her highs right now. She's happy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring her back down to that point in her life. But yes, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. You are welcome anytime. Let's get Andrew on here.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, like I end every podcast, Mayra, thank you for riding with me.
Thank you for having me.
And if you guys like this podcast episode, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Rate the podcast. I really normally don't do this, but my brother's like, you got to do it. So I'm asking. And thank you. Like I said, thank you for riding with me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.